and that waste time, that waste util, and that gives the rotation ability over to the other end. And that's why the deck is so stacked against you, theoretically, when you're playing on the attack when it comes to Ascent. However, when you have all this intel gathering, you control the pace a little bit more. You're able to understand what you're walking into before you walk into it, and so you have the power to play at that same non-committal level that a lot of other attack-heavy maps allow you to do. I'm excited to see if this works out, or if there's now not enough power behind these punches. That being said, it's a mirror comp, so we won't necessarily have a great standard to figure that out here, but we do know is that we're going to see a whole lot of different ways that this util plays out, and like I said, there is a flowchart that is potentially in play here, so we'll see if BCR can react accordingly here, even on the attacking side, where we already see this KJ util coming down.
Yeah, KJ utility, I feel like a lot of the time at high levels of play, Killjoys don't really like to put a lot of their utility down at once because it's such a gamble on whether or not they're actually going to come to your site. But now, early damage from the shock darts, possibly. Lacey definitely heard something.
Oh,
But,
power
yeah,
pixel, excuse me?
That is a huge chunk.
That
is
shock
such
dart!
a huge chunk.
Are you joking right now? What a way to kick things off, Lace! So much power in just one piece of util, and another one is on the way! So Pixel has to question themselves before walking in, and the rest of BCR says, I mean, okay, I guess we'll go somewhere different then. At least for now. Scoping out Courtyard for a second here is Pixel is debating, or excuse me, Lace is debating over whether or not to let this other bolt fly, and indeed it will, as the entrance will finally come through. Now is Sova to help out the KJ on the main line, but really it's the market push that matters as Fluorescent tries to find some shots, doesn't land any, and Keen C can fire back. The rest of BCR trying to break through, but the door has been shut onto Market, and so Kara has a tough time getting in. Lace now has to hold solo from Boathouse as the remaining two defenders come through, and Power Pixel is going to try and take them on both at the same time as Bob ready to swing on from Boathouse. Lace is not watching, and then that's the other one down, but Bob is the only attacker left, and Claudia and Kara, although on fragmented health, are the ones guarding this spike. Bob has to wait for this recon bolt to come back, but won't have that kind of time. 17 seconds left with 23 on the timer. You have to swing dry, and that's a good way to start it. If there's anyone to clutch out a first round like this, it's Bob. And
No way.
Will. There is no way. Check the chamber.
What was
Check
that?
the chamber, by the way. That was 2 bullets. That was 2 bodies.
Those were some insane flicks right off the ledge of lane, and I just cannot get over this first kill. And it was just, what in the world was that? It was almost like she was like,
Jeez.
those are some insane fadeaways. I don't even know what else to call it. Just so clean. And now first round going to BCR off the back of a huge solo play from Bob. Now looking at complexity, seeing what they can do to answer back into the buy-up. We do see that that Keen C is playing very, very close main. I believe with a shorty.
Yeah, I imagine
think
they have to be choked up for a reason here, you know? It's definitely a shorty, and the knife is going to scope that out. Juna over from BCR, filling out the pack. And Keensey is going to get the punish. We'll see the turret, but grabs his Spectre for their troubles. And complexity, early lead here in the round, but once again, that gun diff can go a long way. Now 4 Spectres versus 1 Spectre and 4 pistols here. As BCR have set their sights on A. Dark cover in on tree as Bob attempts to peek over through A main. I love that reliability that BCR has on these top fraggers as Fluorescent rushes in. And she's gonna start popping off. A 2K now looking for one more as they dip into Lace. An immediate tailwind back out after picking up that shorty. God, that is just such good mechanics. Rise from CLG Red over on BCR as well, getting on the action, finding one. Keensey swinging back and can't even find the back shots in order to get one more body. BCR, quick work in round 2.
Yeah, Keen, I mean, tried to get them on the early lead there, and actually what they did was incredibly smart, because I'm pretty sure since Juna had threw the 0 point at the wall, she assumed that they were on the other side rather than inside B main, and she didn't go for to shoot it. So, I mean, at least one Spectre recovered, one body on the floor, so they need to buy up for one. But on the other hand, Complexity, they don't really have a clean utility either. It looks like there is a DC from Lacey, which is why we saw her literally just not shoot back while in hell there. Unfortunate round for Complexity to lose because Lacey might have been able to actually secure the frag onto Fluorescent, potentially, since Flora didn't actually have anything in the shorty that she picked up, but you know, it happens.
It's a little bit unfortunate there. Understand, we are trying to take this tech pause as quickly as possible. We did have some earlier troubles with servers as well, which is why if you didn't catch it earlier, blink and you miss it, Epitomes and I had to stall a little bit before the game started. But it looks like it's come back to bite us a little bit, so we're trying to get Lace reconnected as quickly as possible. In the meantime, enjoy just watching this for a little bit longer, I guess. But I mean, those 2 rounds can give us a lot of information. No, it's that fact that Complexity came so close to clutching out that pistol round, but BCR has Bob and BCR has Fluorescent. I'm telling you, these two players on the same team blows my mind every time I say it out loud, because you're talking 2 of the most consistent, best, most prolific fraggers in the game. This is why I saved my voice in the semis, because I knew I was going to have to go crazy every other round, because you have 2 absolute masters at hype in the same team in the grand finals of the tournament. It's such perfect circumstances, but it's up against a team like Complexity. And in this bonus, I'm confident that they'll make it a 1-2 game.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible we go to the map 3. I mean, since Fracture is, I think, one of those maps that require a lot of coordination, so Complexity taking them over to that, if they do even lose that first map, is definitely going to be an upward battle. Now, on Ascent, I don't know. How much theory crafting is there to do about Ascent? It is just so played. I don't want to say overplayed, but it is so overplayed. I don't know if there are that many strategies that you can come up with. Like, I think one of the most common ones is the B split that we saw in the first round from BCR, where you have 3 go up market with the help of the 0 point, you throw that flash drive, you have Fluorescent just like dash right on in, find those picks, and get onto the site. And at the end of the day, it didn't work out for them as well as they thought it would, but then Bob comes in with that 4K and is able to clutch it up. So I don't know.
It's very silly how one can manage to do that, but Bob just does. We're getting word that Lace's internet has recovered, so hopefully we'll get back in game soon. We appreciate you guys for being so patient, but also I would expect it, because come on, this is grand finals of SakuraCup between Complexity and BCR. You're really gonna get off because of one quick DC in round 3 of the entire series? Come on now, you guys are better than that. In we go, back to Ascent, and check out that scoreboard. Bob 5-0, splurging on the Guardian here in round number 3. Meanwhile, Complexity, they got the classic comp, Lace on the Sova, on the Odin, and meanwhile, rifles across the board, save for Kara, who unfortunately yet to get a kill, has to settle on that Guardian this round, but could still be enough.
Yeah, I mean, Lacey having the Odin is probably one of the most toxic things you can do on Ascent, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't even get to use it to spam down that wall.
Now the rest of BCR are going to attempt to enter for free, but that Odin Free Fire is going to carry through until Fluorescent can come around the backside. But Keency is ready in Boathouse and is able to find 2 more before Juna shuts that down. But that's not the problem. The problem is, now the site's bare. The rest of Complexity has to re-enter, and with only 3 members strong in a 3v2 in the bonus round, things are looking a little bit dicey. Luckily, Kara's able to find the better shot and rises down to only 81 total health. Juna 34, never mind, make it none with Kara getting 1 simple shot. Claudia just needs another, and Complexity is going to be able to clean up that round. It is indeed 1-2.
And them being able to do that is probably going to be, I mean, the thing is here with Complexity, they are so good with the paranoia specifically. I think that Claudia is just really good at forcing isolated 1v1s or somehow a different type of disadvantaged fight for the enemy team with Omen's utility, because they always are holding on to that paranoia to try and get it for the right moments and make sure that there is a capitalization. And for that situation, there definitely was. Rise had to peek back into Boathouse and they were able to isolate the 1v1 with Juna. So now we have BCR with a full buy and Complexity matching it on their own side. Once again, it's that Odin. Maybe we'll see more of it into this round, but Raze tries to get a little aggressive. Oh,
yeah, missed the connection there after digging in too deep. Keency The only one with an ultimate on the board right now. Did enough work last round to get that lockdown ready to go and able to get the first kill for Complexity's favor this time around as well. And that's kind of the power that Ascent holds, because now that Kinsey gets that kill, the market push that was looking so strong previously completely shut down. And the push on the B side as well completely shut down too, because Kinsey's still alive. And so those swarm grenades, that alarm bot, and also the fact that Lace is just chilling in the back with an Odin. More than enough to prompt BCR to move over to A site, where an Owl Drone will give away the position, and Kara will shut down Power Pixel on the other side, but the front line is still making their way through, and Bob is the first to enter through it, and of course, she's gonna get a kill out of it. BCR has 3 members going into the post plant, where Lace still just has this Odin, and since there was nobody in heaven, she can't go up there to get a new gun. She's got to settle for this Odin, at least at first, to find this first member. Then maybe she'll pick up another rifle, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Simple Knife stops the Owl Drone. A Shock Bolt is actually going to bring her down to 20 total health, and Lace is going to get the memo there to just hightail it. Go to lurk in B site, but I think Bob may have caught wind and may be on the prowl in these final seconds of round number 4.
Possible that Bob is able to hunt down Lacey, but even then, it's the Odin. Obviously, there's no information that there's going to be anyone in B main, though, and Lacey's ready for anyone if they do decide to come lane. Just gonna keep the Odin.
Yeah, they're not gonna go around that far.
Probably the best idea for the eco.
Yeah, they still have that gun, so they'll be able to kind of recover here, but won't be by much. And it's also with an Odin, so like you know what Lace is gonna do. You know she's gonna be on B site. You know she's either gonna be in front of that wall or all the way in back elbow. It's a very restrictive gun when they already know you have it. And so Lace, keeping this, definitely double-edged sword. But a lot of ults on the table here, including that lockdown, immediately applicable if need be for Complexity's favor. But BCR making a huge statement here on their choice of the map, is Fluorescent's gonna let this Blade Storm pop and just head right down to the site. Kinsey the first to fall. Lace still trying to hold this down, and it's gonna be a blind entry that Lace will get a 2K for. Has to turn around and look both directions, and Power Pixel's gonna be able to punch that, but that will bring us back to an even 3v3 going into the post plant as Rise gets that down. Rest of BCR tries to set up shop. They want this streak to happen now because they won't get this many chances in the future. Complexity will be able to have a robust economy by the end of this half. They always are able to, because the rounds that they do lose, they still try and make close, and that will be no different here if they end up losing this round, but they don't want to. Claudia is going to dip Fluorescent as she steps on both the swarm grenade and some gunfire while trying to unleash those blades. Rise is still stationed in Boathouse, but now the only remaining member, and they know exactly where she's gonna be. Complexity keep 3 members alive and make it a 2-3 game.
It was actually Power Pixel's Nano Swarm that was the one that took down a lot of Fluorescent's health back there. So kind of getting an assist for the enemy team. And Complexity are able to take it up to do very, very close in the scoreline so far. And they are still keeping that Odin. And on both sides, the economy not yet broken for BCR, especially for Bob, who has quite a bit of credits left in the bank, as well as an ultimate ready. But Complexity, they've got a lot down from the shadows as well as the null command. So there is a lot of utility that can be thrown at BCR squad if they try to go for another one of those aggressive executes. Is that an operator?
I believe it is. Yes, Raze has invested into that operator for this round, and I see why. Cause yeah, you can take down Fluorescent in one shot, and she doesn't have any time to zip zap around the map like she normally does. That's a great start for Complexity, and a huge knife in the back of BCR's initial attack here. Lockdown and Hunter's Fury. Rise is going to get a kill. Juno will too, and Market's broken open. And with the pressure coming from the Hunter's Fury, actually self-hitting Rise, Bob will still break through and hit Claudia on the back line. And so it's a worthwhile effort, despite the team hit. Kara, the only remaining defender for Complexity, has this null command, but also has 4 opponents standing in their way. So a really tough bar to make that I don't think she's going to spring. And instead, just be another lurk here, at least for the moment, for Complexity. So it'll be a 4-2 scoreline going into the second quarter of this match.
Yeah, Kara is playing pretty close. It's risky, but it's high risk, high reward, because if they end up needing to retreat from the spike, this is exactly where they're going to go. And BCR, even though they lose Fluorescent, it doesn't matter for them. Now there's the info on Kara, though, and so she is going to have a tough time getting those exit frags. And with the help of a dark cover, it seems like they're going to be able to retreat away from this lurking KO. And okay, Power Pixel. Nice. Very nicely done.
Thanks.
Cool, man. Sweet. Thanks. Oh my god. That was awesome. Well, here we are again. And BCR, they won that, but it took a lot, didn't it? Power Pixel let that lockdown fly. Fluorescent, no Blade Storm anymore, thanks to Raze immediately shutting that down. And Bob also had to use the Hunter's Fury there. So it's just the null command for this round, and meanwhile, there is a full ult bank available for Complexity, including that Blade Storm on the other end, which Raze is going to proc immediately.
Blade Storm online for Complexity. Not getting aggressive with it, though, not really going for these plays. And I think that Power Pixel's a huge factor in that, having that info gathering with the alarm, but as well as the turret, just an extra piece of utility that you need to contend with if you do want to go aggressive. So it seems that BCR really split up, though. They're going for a default, just waiting for someone to go and push out. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. There's information on where Lace is, at the very least. So they have a little bit of knowledge on what's happening and are also forcing a rotation out of Raze. They want to go towards where there was presence and where there was a little bit of pressure, but BCR otherwise are so silent.
Yeah, it's an attempt to like silently bamboozle this team, but commitment has to happen at some time, and with 30 seconds left on the clock, that commitment is going to be towards A side as the null command comes out, as does a push from Tree Room. It's a 1-for-1 so far with Rise, still do-si-doing with Keency, as the rest of BCR attempts to break through on A side, while Power Pixel mans up the flank, and Lace is not ready for it, so that's a KJ in the back line, immediately jumping into Claudia, though, so it's a 1-for-1 again, as the defensive lockdown comes in after the spike gets planted, and so BCR have a tough road of trying to work through traffic, and it's just too much to bear. Bob, the last attacker remaining. Raze, still online with this Blade Storm, on low health granted, but Complexity have locked this site back down, pun very much intended, and are going to start that defusal. The recon bolt comes through first, but Keency has a much better sightline and is able to grab a 3K here in round 7. Complexity keeping this game 1 as close as can be.
Yeah, that was a really smart dark cover as well coming out of Complexity. They're also going to share the love in terms of the ultimate points, trying to get Keency to get the lockdown pips back up. And this was a nicely done retake from Complexity. Definitely fell apart with the bit of an overheat from Fluorescent. I understand trying to take the garden space and making sure there wasn't the walk up into heaven, especially with Power Pixel closing in through mid and trying to walk into defender spawn. But it just seemed like there wasn't enough support, and Fluorescent was double peeking into 2 players. So it was, it just seemed like there wasn't enough players to go for the post-plant hold. And as well with the lockdown on top of it, Complexity definitely invested into this round, but it means that they were able to come out on top, so not a bad investment overall.
Yeah, I think it's always super worthwhile, especially considering that you used half the ults that BCR had to. And now the null command once again free, along with that Hunter's Fury that is so effective on a lot of the time, specifically Scent, which, you know, foreshadowing is a very interesting concept. As BCR, again, a split push just to scope out the competition. The 2 players that cannot get any intel, in the Jet and the Omen, making the initial push up market. Bob gonna help supply that with a little recon bolt to make sure that they have a free path up to the back line, which for the most part they do. But Lace is gonna be that first line of defense standing in their way. Watching that corner from heaven. Here comes Bob from Tree Room, and Raze is just very simply holding that sight line. So very easy shutdown coming through from Complexity to start. Fluorescent gonna try and make that peak, and Lace is alerted, which means the rest of the team is alerted. And so now the question is, where do you go from here? Because Power Pixel has joined the pack, and so this spike can go basically to whichever side it pleases. It looks like BCR safely leads to B site. And while the KJ util is there, only 2 members of the team are, but they can do a hell of a lot of work. Keency Quick 2K on the lineup, and Fluorescent steps into the other aisle, which is where all the KJ util is. So now Fluorescent versus the world, and you know, she's done it before. She might do it again. No, Kara shuts down after a 2K, and June is gonna be too late to the party here. The spike way too far away, so instead, she's gonna opt to save and hand the tying round over to Complexity. It is 4-4 now.
Yeah, BCR, they're bleeding some of these rounds away, and Complexity, they're getting good at isolating these players because BCR are playing some defaults. This is like definitely a lot slower of a pace than we are used to them playing. They like to rush, they like to throw all of their util and just dump it to make sure that they're able to get their players onto the site, and especially since you want to be supporting a Fluorescent who really likes to go as far ahead as possible and create as much space as possible. So you need that kind of fast-paced play, and it's just not what we're receiving from BCR thus far. And now we are seeing that they are on this save round. This is the only time we've seen them all stacked up in one lane, though. They're not splitting, they're just all walking through B main, waiting for the information from Juna to come in as soon as they're ready to execute.
We started to point it out more and more. Fluorescent's crosshair, I think, may need addressing at some point if she starts doing even better than she already is. But Keency, another quick shutdown, another lineup, and that's a 2K once again for COL's KJ. 4 ults once again on the board, and Bob already taking a couple hits here. Able to jump back out, gonna grab that ultimate orb, and BCR have to take another step at this. It is an eco round for them, so they're not too pressed about losing anything, and doubt they're gonna use this into the shadows this round, but they want to at least make a cut here. They have been able to so far, even with the eco rounds, and I mean, they were the ones who had such a commanding lead to begin this game. And this was their choice of map. If they fall this early on, Complexity could have a solid defending half, but that is the other key piece of information here, is the fact that Complexity is still arguably on the side that is more favored. So what happens when the script flips, regardless of how much catch-up they're playing right now? And they are playing a lot of catch-up, as Keency is going to be able to pick up a 4K to round out round number 9. Complexity, for the first time all series, has the lead.
Yeah, Keency now looking really, really sharp on the Killjoy because I definitely feel like Keency is responsible for a lot of the rounds that they are able to win because of the utility that's stacked up, going for the full setups, making sure that it's impossible to cross through any of these lanes without taking a whole huge chunk of damage, and just covering the other one manually with the rifle, and the shot is definitely here. It is on for Keency. So now what we're looking at is BCR finally on the save buy, or on the full buy, with one ultimate to spare, and hopefully they are going to be able to make something out of this. Raze going aggressive. Ooh, getting taken down early though.
That's a lot of room created with the Hunter's Fury. Unfortunately, enough mobility available just barely to find things. Fluorescent gonna be able to jump out of a fragment space that she thought she was safe in, but down to 33 health on top of that. BCR still have 5 members and Complexity have 4, and now comes the lockdown on A site. That doesn't restrict Heaven though, so Lace doesn't have to move. She will anyway though, because she's isolated, so I understand that move, especially when Complexity's now down to only 3 members, as Rise is gonna be able to take down Claudia. The end of the shadows won't really do all that much, as it's just playing catch up with the rest of the team, but now comes the lockdown from the other side, as Keency's gonna throw down their own ultimate. Fluorescent and Juna the first to swing on that. Lace is gonna be able to punish at least once for that, but not much more, and now the lockdown's been spotted, so is Kara using that null command, and that's gonna get found too, but Fluorescent forgot about the lockdown actually expiring, and will get detained for it. So it's now still an effective 1v2, is that null command is finally gonna expire, so it's Lace still versus the world, including Bob, who just sometimes decides to be better. 5-5.
I think that's where you see the lockdown buffs actually come into fruition, because the lockdown recently had its health buffed, and Fluorescent actually wasn't able to destroy it before she had to reload, gets caught in it, and dies for it. And it's not a huge problem since you do have that Blade Storm now online and available for this jet. And on the other side, Complexity, they use a lot of ultimates in that round. We saw the Hunter's Fury being taken, we saw the Null Command, as well as the lockdown, and all of it to amount to a round loss. They really wanted to cement their lead and kind of complete that continue the round win streak that they were having, and it just didn't seem like it worked out, and it cost them greatly. And I think that's the first time we've seen Complexity actually come out short-handed when they do decide to invest so much utility.
But it's still been such a ridiculous back and forth regardless of side. I'm excited to see how things change after these last 2 rounds. As Fluorescent is going to let that Blade Storm fly, and A-side is pretty quickly handed over to the squad. June is going to get this spike down, and the rest of Complexity kind of just have to fan into A-side. But luckily, they know that there's no threat that they have to inherently worry about now because all of the ultimates, they've already been expended. And this Into the Shadows is still free if there's a relocation potential available. Owl Drone is going to catch one, and Raze is going to find the other down in hell. That's an easy opening for Complexity. I don't know how they find these, but they do. Fluorescent attempted right-click with the Blade Storm does not land on either of the survivors in Tree Room, but it's Juna now finding a 2K on that null command before Raze on the drop down shuts that down. 3v2 in Complexity's favor with this null command on the verge of expiring. Unless a teammate gets there first, and Bob is still waiting. Pixel still waiting. Kara tries to go for the defusal, and that won't work in BCR. From the main door, they pull the reversal back again, and it's 6-5.
Yeah, at the end of the round there, Juna's ultimate does eventually end up expiring. So unfortunately, you do have a death timer for that, but instead you are picking up another rifle since the economy isn't too broken. But on the other side, Complexity, they actually are picking up a judge, and I for a second there saw an operator, but I think instead they're going to opt for the safer rifle choice. And now BCR, they have guaranteed themselves the tied half, and the best they can hope for is that 7-5, but even so, once you get onto the other side, it's going to be close.
Oh, they're converging. Raze is gonna miss the right click on the Blade Storm too, and Pixel takes them down, but Claudia is able to refrag, and Keensey is still holding this down from hell, but that is going to trigger the Hunter's Fury. Juna kills Keensey before Bob can, so now she's got to look for a new target, and unfortunately, she will barely graze the one in heaven, Kara. So now it's a 3v3. Only ult on the board is still that Into the Shadows, but the question is, will Complexity have a time where they can use it? Because that has been so up in the air for a lot of other interactions that these teams have had. Kara has this fragment available, but so does the other side. Rise tries to get out with this fragment proccing, and will get out with 29 health, but now hell is unoccupied. Complexity know that, but can they connect on it? Both KOs now out of the equation. Bob gets the 2K! And is the lone survivor, giving BCR the lead.
Switching sides.
Now in the lead, BCR, they're switching onto the defensive half. They have the same mirror team comp, and honestly, this flick still does not, my brain does not work when I see that shot. But the highlights from the last half now playing on screen, definitely a lot of pop-off plays, but I think Bob really is the anchor for this team right now, being able to clutch out a lot of rounds in those post-plan situations, careful not to overheat, and gathering a lot of info all at once. I think the Sova, huge comfort pick for Bob as well. So she is just the cornerstone of BCR. Now going on to the defense, we'll see if they can have that same effect. We have a double stack up in Tree Room and the Killjoy on our best site, B.
It's the same comp, so we should not encounter the same issues. BCR, if they're the better team, they should still be fine, right? This is their map choice. This is the side that they probably like a little more too. Complexity between a rock and a hard place here, but winning the pistol round would get you a lot of ground back, arguably bring this back to a 7-8 game. And with the ability you have to jump in with the jet, to initiate with that knife and the pop flashes, to even just TP every once in a while, Complexity can invade. If they do it right. And they do, very consistently. But this is a new team, a new chemistry that they have to face. And although Ascent is well practiced, that just means you have to get even more creative. Power Pixel gonna back out after a Paranoia, and Owl Drone will stave them away. So Complexity have a little more space, but they don't have nearly as much health now as Power Pixel. The double kill with the classic before the rest of Complexity is even able to react. Juna finding another from Boathouse on the other off angle. Pixel now low health, ready for the connection, but the rest of the work can be done by Bob and Power Pixel themselves, as BCR keep 4 members stable for their 8th round of the game.
And Complexity, they are playing this a little bit differently than BCR was, or sorry, PowerPixel specifically, is putting the Killjoy utility a lot different than what we saw from Kinsey. Kinsey was more about that site denial, more about denying lane, forcing them towards a different side, but instead PowerPixel has info gathering utility. We have the alarm bot in mid, so you don't really need to dedicate a player to it, and BCR this round are dedicating that KO and Juna towards mid, but it's not necessary.
Oh, PowerPixel. PowerPixel's just having fun with it. They said, you want this kind of fight? I'll give you this kind of fight. Juna holds for market and Kinsey peaks early, but this backline hasn't fully extended yet, and the rest of Complexity, or excuse me, BCR, I saw PowerPixel's name and I got confused. The rest of BCR is able to swing for free and give us a good old 9-5 scoreline. BCR continuing their stability, continuing their run through their map choice.
Well, I mean, you can see why this is BCR's map choice now. And it seems like they are getting a lot of rounds, but it only has been that first and second pistol, and now they have to win a bonus if they want to get to double digits, and Complexity are definitely not going to let that happen. They are sided towards that A and posturing the spike near top mid, and they're trying to go aggressive actually. There was a flash drive, but it's actually the suppression knife onto Fluorescent that's going to delay quite a bit. Still, through the smoke, is able to find one.
The power of Fluorescent is never dying, and BCR winning this round would mean great strides. But it's a defensive hold on Ascent, and so even the bonus is up in the air when you're looking at players of this caliber. Complexity attempts to split the board up for the moment. Going in couples along courtyard. One of said couples in tree room already. The two bot masters. Well, I can't say bot masters. One is a robot, and the other just controls them. You feel like that's a weird dynamic when they're walking through tree room, like they're just conversating about how, oh yeah, I've operated on things like you. Sorry, what?
Can I open you up?
Can I like look at your like, God? The
Can I look at your core?
The potential for awful dialogue in this game between these two characters. Kinsey easy invade on a Juna up in heaven, and A site just like that has been handed over to Complexity, and now comes the second couple from tree room to make sure that nobody can flank, and indeed nobody even comes close. BCR forced down to 4 members on this retake as Complexity have a moment to restabilize here, but what can they do with it? Bob, the first to initiate, going through tree, but somebody's a lot closer. Bob, as always, just senses it somehow and does see the body. That is crucial for Fluorescent, but
what?
Kinsey
Wait, what?
is able to gun diff enough, and Kinsey remains on 14 health. Race misses the shot though, and so Bob is able to refrag. So the collective health is still in their favor, but the spike has been ticking away the whole time. But it's time for Pixel to act now. That's 2 for the BCR member, and Bob gets the final 1. And I think there's enough time to defuse this spike too. Oh yeah, there absolutely is.
It's gonna be
BCR,
close.
they take the bonus, and it's 10-5.
That was so scary for a second for BCR. And Complexity, I mean, I don't even know how Kinsey secured the kill onto Fluorescent because the timing was good, the swing was good, the info was there, but Kinsey just did like a 360 or something and got a few pot shots off, and Fluorescent just went down. And now we're looking at BCR at double digits with full gun buys, while Complexity doesn't have anything. They have this single Guardian. Oh, it's a Bulldog now, as well as a lockdown on both sides. But, you know, that Bulldog, how much can it do against a full team of Vandals?
Well, hopefully more than a Guardian, according to Complexity, but Fluorescent is going to shut down one member that isn't holding said Bulldog. As the rest of Complexity, they got to push out some point, and with 2, they're able to at least shut down Floor, but Catwalk is still under control until Kara is able to find a 2K with said Bulldog. So, hey, made the impact that Complexity was looking for, but now you gotta find a little more. Gotta cut through and get this round now, or else BCR is gonna have too much fodder to work with for the rest of this map. A 6-round cushion already, just 2 rounds away from grabbing that first game, means miles. Kara searching, finding Pixel as well, down to literally 1 health, and June is finally able to shut that down. But Kara making one hell of an indentation into this eco for BCR.
a really nice eco coming from Complexity, and it's the first timeout that we've seen today. This is crazy. So since Complexity actually does have a coach, this is probably a really good time to go for that timeout. But the thing is, they are on round 11 for BCR. So they're buying up this round. This is their full buy. It's good of a round as any to go for that timeout, but that means they need to execute and they need to deliver the strategies that they talk about in this timeout on this round, or else they're going to be broke for match point if BCR are somehow able to swing this round this way. They have identical ultimates that are available on both sides, and I want to say pretty much identical buys in both guns, shields, and utility. And I don't know, can Complexity make it up to 6?
Yeah, this is a painful truth, I think, is the rhythm dictates to a point where if Complexity does lose, like you said, with this full buy this round, then they will have basically nothing walking into that finality, which means even a little more in advance, there is no margin for error here for Complexity. If they mess up one time, then BCR can just roll that snowball even more than they already have, which granted, they're already on a 7-round streak. But with this full buy, that Complexity is able to manage once more, along with the lockdown, which meant so much in the past, and Kara's null command online. BCR has those same ultimates, though, so the retake potential is just as there, and with a quick null command, indeed, from Kara, looks like Complexity 101 and done this sumbitch. The rest of Complexity beginning the rotation. Rise will start with the refrag, though, and the rest of BCR are just clearing house, even quicker than normal. One dark cover, and Complexity thought they could just waltz on. Flash drive, matters not. W King, matters not. And I would keep going, but that's all that Complexity was allowed to do this round. Kainsey, do you want to throw down this lockdown this round, or do you want to wait until next time? Yeah, I would say take a couple steps back. Teasing that orb a little bit, but BCR is going to stay guarded on this spike, at least for the foreseeable future. But now there's just like 50 seconds to, like, chill. So Kainsey's just gonna hang out, see if they can find an angle, see if they can find a kill, but this is now gonna be a 12-5 game.
Yeah, I mean, Kainsey just letting it scan them, so they know exactly where this Killjoy is hiding, and I think that what they're trying to do is get them a little antsy, get them to chase them a little bit. Maybe they can get some exit frags to a dent to their economy, but otherwise you really don't want to be taking unnecessary and risky fights, especially since you know your economy is going to be broken in the next round. You're not going to be able to full buy, and you need to save as much money as possible. Unfortunately, does not have spike, can't go for it, can't go for the control, and BCR is actually playing a lot more safe than I expected them to. They're just holding on to this spike.
Yeah, they want to give absolutely nothing away. It is so impressive watching their discipline despite how much of a gap they're creating over a team like this. But again, none of these players are strangers to this kind of gap. I mean, this is essentially a ranked lobby for them, like you said at the very beginning of this matchup. And it's 5 players that have a sinful glut of experience in this
sinful glut.
in this community. Thank you so much. I stole it. Complexity, they do have a little more to work with than normal, but it's just because of this streak, or the slump, I guess I should say, that they've succumbed to over the course of this game so far. 8 rounds deep now, and with 2 Guardians and 3 Light Shields on the field, may just be that lucky number 9 here in favor of BCR to boost them immediately to series point and a potential golden SakuraCup to round out the year of 2022. BCR holding close on Cat. The rest of the squad actually waiting in CT spawn for Complexity to make a move, and they have that luxury because the dark cover is going to stave off A, along with those 2 holders in tree room, and those steps will be heard. And the KJ util is going to be able to detect when Complexity picks on a B site, which is already where the rest of BCR is kind of chomping at the bit here. That knife is not going to give away any information, and Complexity might get baited into this now. But the lockdown thrown down just as Juna procs this null command leaves us in a bit of a weird stalemate where the back elbow isn't going to be cleared, but also it's not really going to be super worried about by Complexity just yet. But as the lockdown fades away, the null command does too, and now we're back to square one. The difference is Complexity has the spike down and just a little bit more less collective health. Rise, unfortunately, having to get rid of this sentry, and Not prepared for Keency so close. Gonna launch this paranoia early on, but the flash drive is still available, and Keency's gonna be able to eventually find Rise. But Bob has been fragging, as has Fluorescent, as always, and they're both gonna get one each. Now Fluorescent in a little bit of a duel here on main. Kara taking 2 down before finally getting trounced by that, but that still only leaves 1 attacker left from Complexity. In Claudia, 28 health. Fluorescent needs a singular knife to deal the blow. And it's going to be a 13-5 finisher here from BCR. Another dominant victory, but this time, it's in the grand finals. This time, BCR only needs 1 more map to win the SakuraCup.
Yeah, that was not unexpected coming out from that last round, knowing what the economy looked like, knowing the win streak that BCR was on, as well as just the fact that they had so many more ultimates, and the positioning was really nicely done, especially after that lockdown expired at the very end. Complexity, it wasn't their map pick. They weren't expected to 100% win this, even though they are such a good team and they've had such a good streak so far in this SakuraCup. Well, they will be taking them onto their own map pick.
I think the craziest thing to say about this entire game in general is, like, I don't think there was a moment in which Complexity kind of completely fumbled or they did something that was inherently stupid or bad. It's just that BCR came up with so many ideas over the course of that game, and that's what Ascent is supposed to provide for, a primordial soup for people just getting creative, figuring new things out, things that you don't pull out in those scrims. And BCR, they pull map 1 out of still seemingly almost nowhere, but they've made their stake. They have rationalized the overwhelming channel point bet in favor of BCR, at least from a couple of our faithful and loyal chatters, but this is not done yet. I can't believe I get to say this, but we're going to Fracture, people. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We are on map 2 of BCR versus Complexity's GX3. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. I don't know how many I can do.
Dude.
Welcome back. I mean, I don't. Well, I'm Epitomes. I'm here with Tenrek. We're looking at BCR versus Complexity GX3, and we were just on Ascent, where BCR first half a little shaky, second half completely dominant, and then now moving on to Fracture.
Yeah, I would say that a pretty dominant second half of Ascent there for BCR. Just trashing that entire half, ending it with a 9-round streak to make it a 13-5 game. Beyond impressive stuff. But like you said, we head now to a bit of an island in Fracture. An isolated map when it comes to results. You kind of can look at as many numbers as you want. It does not matter when you go to Fracture. Nothing matters. What matters is if you're better on specifically Fracture than if you're better in the game. And to be fair, I kind of like that sentiment, if I'm being totally honest. I think it provides a little bit of variation into how you manage yourself when playing through a series, and it makes map politics a whole lot more interesting, both on Twitter and live in-game. So I'm really glad that we get to go there at least once over the course of today. You and I already talked about comps, but we didn't get to talk too much about it because it's all still so up in the air because people are still kind of trying to figure out Fracture post-chamber nerfs, post-complete shift with those recent patch notes. But you and I both agreed, Breach and Neon, despite Breach's recent nerf to Rolling Thunder, still two agents that we're probably definitely going to see be sort of the centerpiece when it comes to at least one of these comps.
I mean, does it really matter on Fracture? There are 4 ultimate orbs on Fracture. Like, that's like 2 rounds of running around the map, getting every single ultimate orb. It doesn't seem like a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, farming up an ultimate, round 2, you have it, it's fine. All good. And I mean, for the rest of the team comp, I feel like there is an option between, like, Brim, Astra, and Viper.
Yeah.
In terms of controller. I think Viper can be like a really, really strong choice, but she is a little bit harder to play because it is hard to hold those maps without presence on both of those sites. So I think in order to play the Viper, you need something stronger than a chamber. You need like the solid utility of maybe a Cypher, maybe a Killjoy, maybe a Sage. But with the recent Sage nerfs to the barrier orb, that is also kind of a question mark as well.
That's true. That's very true. I was about to talk about Viper a little bit just because her sort of defensive utility is very passive, and so kind of putting everything down. And while you can pick up the orb, everything else is very like committal, and you can't do that, especially on defense. On Fracture, you need to be as versatile as possible. That's why Chamber was such an attractive pick, because you could just pick up those rendezvous and head back over. Now it's a little more risky with Chamber specifically, so up in the air whether or not we'll see him. But yeah, when it comes to smokers, I think Brim is probably absolutely the easy option. Astra's the fun option that I like because Astra's cool to me, but I like watching Brim anyway.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you know, there's always a couple ideas that you could throw at the wall. We see Raze every once in a while because of the work that Paint Shells and Boombot specifically can do to clear those cubbies that aren't normally visible from places like Canteen, or even for those long-range point holds when you're going through like the door on A when you're entering through the flank line. There's also Sky. We see pretty often that regrowth as always really helpful when restacking and kind of recouping. If you fail that initial push, you'll still have enough time if you rotate from somewhere like T-Spawn to be able to get back to a site, and you'll be fully healed along the way by your Sky. So that's pretty nice. Fade tends to go in tandem with Breach anyway, and so the fact that her Nightfall works so well on Fracture in the first place makes her that much more of an attractive pick to me. I think she will once again be that 5th slot other than Sova, at least on one side. But Complexity looks to be fully embracing the KJ for a second there. Okay, I was gonna say, not on this map, guys. Come on, don't go crazy. But yeah, I mean, this is something that we basically are going into completely blind, because BCR obviously have just started playing as a team, so we don't have any record on them for Fracture, and it's not like Complexity goes here often. Like this is such an out of the blue idea, but it makes total sense because it wasn't banned at first, and Complexity now they're gonna punish for it. Or at least attempt to, because if this doesn't work, then BCR are going to be your SakuraCup champions.
Yeah, is it gonna be the Cypher? I saw them hovering like a double sentinel for a second on the side of Complexity. So Keenzy locking in the Killjoy. Are we gonna see the yep?
Okay.
We see the Sage. So it's
double cage.
Sentinel.
She's that good now?
KJ? I don't know about that,
I've heard the hype and I understand it, but on Fracture? I don't know about that, man.
You've clearly never been destroyed by a Killjoy and ranked on Fracture.
I have yet
You've
to.
clearly never been.
I have yet to. I guess
shredded.
I'll find out, won't I?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, look, we questioned a lot going into this, so it's only a matter of time before one of our questions is just shattered. But two, in fact, since Lace also decided to go on that Sage too, which is, I mean, still understandable because Barrier Orb still provides a lot of help with both sides actually for planting, and so BCR starting on attack, or excuse me, Complexity starting on attack certainly does make her a more interesting pick to me, a more attractive pick, I guess I should say. But I think both these teams have a little bit of convincing to do when it comes to these comps and why they are as viable as they are about to try and prove that they are, you know?
No duelist on the side of BCR, so that's scary because, I mean, why is Fluorescent playing Killjoy? Like, I don't think I have ever seen Fluorescent play anything that isn't a duelist, and even then, maybe the closest thing to not a duelist is KO, some other type of flash initiator, and I think the way that they worked around these compositions is really scary. So now we see that. Because, like, even then, if you're going to play a Sentinel as a duelist player, I feel like the comfort pick for most of them is Sage. If you're moving from Jet over to Killjoy, you're just not going to realize how many inputs all of her abilities have. Like, you have to, like, press a button 2 or 3 times for it to actually go.
To clarify, it's not like Complexity has a big arsenal of Fracture experience. The last time they played it, they went against Project 7. Back in the Boom TV Valorant Select, and did win 13-10, but it was close, much like a lot of their Fracture results. So I'm interested to see if they've worked on anything since then, and apparently BCR is able to at least hold it down for the moment defensively, but still a 4v3, and again, with this limited util, could break apart at any moment, but going for that chip, going for those options, it's a good idea for Complexity, is that Sentry is going to get thrown down, and the rotation to B side is going to begin here for Complexity, as BCR has completely vacated that.
Well, BCR, yeah, this is one of the biggest risks of Killjoy on Fracture. It's her limited range, so you have to recall her utility because you're not going to get any info if you just leave it there, and it's just going to get destroyed anyway, so she won't be able to get back into range. But now this is interesting. We see that there's a flank coming in, and Kane is holding for it.
Kane is ready for it. Very ready. But in doing so, Complexity has kind of boxed themselves in to the rafters here, so I'm interested if they're able to get out here. Fluorescent has a lot of angles poking at her, and so she's not able to re-aggress here. Instead, Bob has to sort of take the reign of at least dealing with that sentry turret, which I now understand the problems that come with it when playing on Fracture, just the range that you have to play with. But Fluorescent will eventually get to engage, and as always, she will get a kill before falling. The question is, how quickly will you fall? As the rest of the team has to defuse this spike at some point, and Lace is going to just wade through and get the right kill onto Power Pixel. BCR will not have enough time to get the other half of this spike, and Complexity take round 1.
That was a really close one, and it's all down to the target selection from Lacey being able to take down the diffuser instead of the player that is right in front of you trying to peek out, and I think that's where you kind of need to be able to use your utility as a Killjoy player, have that nanoswarm left over to be able to block off the sight lines, force them to not be able to walk through and just take that fight for as long as they should be able to. And now BCR, looking at their setup, this time they have that Killjoy once again on B, and they have this 3-player stack over towards that side. Not a lot of utility from Cypher on A side though, and that seems to be getting a little bit of presence over on the north side of the map. But other than it's not not a lot of contact. I don't know. They're kind of sitting in their spawn, you know?
It's a little bit of a dance here for either side. Is Complexity, they want to make sure that no stone is left unturned and that they come away as unscathed as possible this round, so bonus is just a little easier to handle as always. Bob has to hold down against a huge 4-man swing, and yeah, that's not gonna happen. She's just gonna back out and run right into Keensey, who is taking away the other end of B site. Even though Fluorescent's still in it, she's not for long though, as Claudia is gonna be able to take care of her. Now 4v3 is Complexity, still has yet to get the spike down, but Kara's gonna fix that too. Pixel, the first to push through this smoke as the barrier goes up on the other end, and Power Pixel's gonna be able to find one. Looks for the headshot onto Claudia. Cannot find it. Neither can Juna. Rise, the last remaining player, to try and find something, and with the classic, can't in time. Claudia, a 4K to boot here as Complexity take the first 2 rounds.
Taking down 2 lives means having to buy back in or just stick to the pistols in the bonus, so at least BCR can brag about that for a little while as they buy up into those full rifles. It's actually a Bulldog fluorescent. Probably a product of buying so much utility in the previous rounds, but for the rest of the team, they're actually going to be looking at half shields. So there is a little bit of a health disadvantage on BCR, seeing as they have a little more half shields than Complexity does. However, Complexity does have much worse guns. Only Keen-C with the Vandal has anything that might be able to contend here over long range. The Stinger, though, the infamous buy-up gun, Raze might be able to get something done.
Yeah, Complexity has gotten away with a couple more, I want to say just like dumb ideas, but I won't say that. I should say cheeky, because they're not dumb, because they work. So Complexity able to get away with a lot more, be much slicker, much slipperier than BCR. But BCR has been able to carry blow for blow for the most part. In the bonus round, will that be the same? Pixel, hold up in their little cyber cage as the rest of Complexity makes their move, but Pixel dips out to catch Keen-C. And the rest of Complexity has to take a second to kind of rethink their hold, but it's too late to do that. They're already on site. Fluorescent trying to engage and doing some chip damage before the rest of BCR comes in to try and save the day, but Complexity has a lot of different pieces of natural cover that they can work with. Spike is yet to get planted though, so they have to push, and unfortunately, they push into too much. BCR able to keep 3 members alive for the bonus.
Making it 1-2 now for BCR, having the neural theft online since Power Pixel's been able to collect a lot of the orbs, I believe, just walking around, moving around this map to get those picks as well as the ultimate pips onto the board. And now they have a lot more info than Complexity GX3 does because they only have that Killjoy. But on the side of BCR, they have the KO, they have the Cypher as well as the Killjoy. So it's just like exponentially more information that they're able to gather from that utility.
And this is really great as well. A complete reversal of the presence for BCR's defense as well. Power Pixel now up in B site with the spy cam in a very different location. Meanwhile, the KJ in Fluorescent is now on A site, A long to be exact. And the drop presence is that KJ util. So the mix-ups coming from this Killjoy are already really impressive, and that alone, I think, has convinced me as to why she could work on this map. But floor fragging on top of that would just be the icing on the cake that is also the most expected icing on any cake ever. Race with the paint shells is actually able to crack through onto Jonah, but Rise is uncontested until the bullets are gone, and then Keen-C and Lace can break through the rest, and Lace, with that kill, is able to find a resurrection. So now a 4v2 as BCR is holed up on the side, but Complexity, they have time to leave it. They won't though. Instead, they'll bottleneck towards a main, and Fluorescent has to vacate that first site that's Aftershock, so now it is just down to Pixel. Is going to head over through the flank end of A site first as that spike gets planted in the corner to at least pick up this rifle, but so much spread presence from Complexity here. Doubt they're going to be able to find anything. They will actually get 1 headshot and almost kill 2, but Carr is able to get that shut down right before Keen-C falls, and so Complexity are now up 3-1.
Complexity are showing up pretty big on this map so far. They already have 3 rounds under their belt. It's a 2-round buffer, and they had to expend the resurrection in that last round in order to win it. I don't think it was necessary. They just wanted to bring that rifle into the next round, and Lacey, even then, only has 300 credits left in the bank and isn't able to buy full shields. On the other side, BCR are looking at a lot of half shields as well as sheriffs. Only 1 guardian on the board, and they're actually going to go aggressive though. I really like this play.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We haven't seen it from BCR yet, and that's because most teams, they can only pull it out 1 time before it stops working. BCR, they're going to take that chance now, and they get 2 before those 2 will fall. But that's already more than enough for BCR's first attempt at that. Now, it's Complexity who once again has to push that narrative, and with that boombot and the flash, June is walled away, and Raze can find 1 more kill before Fluorescent gets that 1 tag, yes, and finds the shot on a Claudia too. Raptors cleared, it's just down to Kara, excuse me. But the spike has been planted, Pixel doesn't care, finds the 1 shot with the Vandal, and BCR recover. They will find their 2nd round.
And now BCR, they do finally stop the bleeding just a little bit. They're taking a selfie together as they defuse this spike. Look at us, we're counter-terrorists. Let's post this to the ground.
Yo, what's up,
That's
guys?
risky.
Welcome to How to Defuse a Spike.
Hey everyone, welcome to our Valorant vlog. So today it's me and PowerPixel, and we are looking at this spike here planted by Complexity GX3, which PowerPixel just left. Yeah, we're not friends anymore. We had, you know, like a social media breakup, so now we gotta defuse this spike. And BCR, we are currently down 1 round, but that's not gonna be a problem because look at us, we got 4 ultimates on the board. So much info together. They have 3 ultis, but it's not too big of a problem since one of them only has a frenzy.
But can Complexity do the same that BCR had to do? They don't have that counter-aggression early on like the other side does, but they do have a lockdown. Rise thinks they know where they are, and they're right! The Molly is gonna catch that lockdown and eventually burn it down, maybe in time here? No! It's still gonna catch 2! And Complexity is able to get on site. I thought that Molly totally caught the lockdown. Did it not?
That's actually crazy because I thought that the Brim Molly would do enough damage to take the lockdown, but again, Killjoy utility buffs, 200 health now apparently.
That's actually so impressive. If that Molly did hit, then that is scary for the lockdown, but BCR has one too, and so they'll force them out, and then the orbital strike immediately after. Oh, I love this from BCR. They force Complexity to make different choices in a split second, and they fall for it. So now the Rolling Thunder has to be expended from the other side in the 3v5, and it'll work for Keensey at the very least. Getting 2, now coming in from drop, onto the Molly. PowerPixel and Fluorescent, they can finish the pack and keep 2 alive. But the spike has once again gone on too long, and Complexity once again win on detonation, 4-2.
That was incredibly scary for Complexity, but they are so good at playing time on this map. And once again, there's a lot of movement coming through from Complexity's squad where they are just rotating around the map, coming in through different angles. We saw a rotation coming in through drop to make sure that they were fighting different fights and had to turn away from the rest of the teammates. And yes, the Sentinel duo, PowerPixel and Fluorescent, immediately did come out on top when it came to the gunfights, but not when it came to the time. And it's owed to a lot of ultimates expended, though. There were previously 7 ultimates across the board, and now there are none. So an incredibly expensive round for both sides.
Yeah, both teams kind of forced each other's hands, and it got to kind of an exponentially ridiculous conclusion. As this round has started, Complexity refusing to move yet. This is a very interesting bait idea coming from them, seeing if BCR are going to make any moves that they shouldn't. But no entrance into this first T-spawn yet, and so Complexity, after a lot of time has already been expended, they're gonna say, okay, fine, we'll head on. And so when they go into A main, the 4 stack, soon to be 5, they will attempt to hold these angles. The KJ util is gonna be the first thing standing in their way, and directly behind them is a KJ in Fluorescent, finds a 2K. 1 credit to the grenade, 1 credit to the gun. Best thing you could ask for as that KJ. But now the door has been cleared. Main hasn't, but at least you have that space, and so that's where the 3 stack that's left on Complexity will go to. With that healing orb still available, Lace is actually not going to expend it just yet. Instead, they want to take a little bit more space, and with the fault line, that is temporarily halted. Fortunately, though, Claudia is able to take a solid space and at least throw these sky smokes down until Fluorescent comes in with the flank. A 4K attempted ace. Claudia shuts that down, but nothing more. And BCR, 4 members alive here in round 7. What a performance.
They are able to bring that 1 round back. Fluorescent off the back of that has the lockdown available now for Complexity. For Complexity's, you know, take. And Complexity on the other side, they have the orbital strike. So that is probably the biggest counter to the lockdown. And I assume that the orbital strike can still kill a lockdown despite the health buffs, or I would hope.
Dude, if an orbital strike,
I would hope.
doesn't kill a lockdown.
Imagine.
We might have to rethink this patch if that's true. Complexity.
You know, the Molly didn't kill it, so
Right.
I'm kind of surprised,
yeah,
you know?
That one Molly made me question my entire life in Valorant. Like, that was, oh man, what an interaction that we saw. face to face. Complexity still up around. Not up and ult still. It's only 1-1 in the bank, but Claudia's the one with it, and she's gonna get that spike down. In comes the lockdown, and Fluorescent shoots down Claudia on the runaway. What a shot yet again. Juna is about to be so timing based on this, waiting for the entry back, and respectful enough for that other door, to the point where I'm just gonna dip it again, and there it is! That's the connection you're looking for, and the rest of BCR, like sharks to blood, pounce much quicker this time, and they absolutely will have enough time to defuse this spike. We are tied up at 4.
And this is when Fluorescent is kind of starting to show a little bit of versatility and not just being a duelist player, being able to know when to use the utility and how it is. Because that defender lockdown, it forced Complexity to kind of retreat, and as they were running away, since they planted so deep so they could watch it from A main, they were just shot down on the way out and already at a disadvantage just like that. So now Complexity, they are forced to go for this timeout. There are 4 rounds left in the half, if I can do math correctly.
You can.
And
you
they
Good
really
job.
want to pull forward. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I didn't know if I could do math at all.
No, you,
so now
oh, come on. Don't be that hard on yourself. You absolutely can do math, and I'm very proud of you.
Wow, thank you. That means so much to me. I'm gonna shed a tear. And Complexity
All right, okay.
are going to shed
Don't
a tear if they
patronize me.
can't
Come
get
on.
forward. I'm not patronizing you. I'm being very nice. Come on. I'm thanking you. Thank you is nice. What? Come on.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I think is still up in the air, I want to say Eco, honestly. But it's been such a back and forth that it's not much of a question to either of these teams at this point. I'm just wondering, is any going to chip away enough in time? Because, I mean, this is now 2 rounds in a row for BCR. If they win this one, in Complexity, they'll have a lot of ultimates, at least 3. But they won't have a kit available for at least 1 more round. So, BCR, much bigger cushion to work with starting this round. Complexity fully aware of that. I imagine they fully intend to use both of these ults this round to make sure that they can clutch it and have that guaranteed tie. Rolling Thunder on all of those attackers, though. How many did you catch? Not enough. Lace, raise again. It's kills all over the board in favor of Complexity. And BCR's push with the Rolling Thunder falls apart. Bob gonna try and hold solo and accidentally puts herself in the sky smoke for a second, disorienting enough to the point where Kara is able to get that kill. And Fluorescent, the only one left, her versus the world, got very close to an ace just a round or 2 ago. Can she do it one more time with the spike ticking down as well? I supremely doubt it with Claudia this far out. And yeah, it appears Fluorescent is just gonna hold it out, look for maybe one to lurk on, but BCR are gonna hand the lead back over to Complexity, at least for now.
Yeah, is she far enough out that she's not going to get caught by the detonation? I'm not sure here. And since you they do have pretty good economy, so it's not a big deal if they lose the gun there, but it is a huge deal for Complexity to be able to pick up another round, especially on the offense. And I want to say once again that Fracture is an offense-sided map. They don't get a lot of control very early into this round, which makes it a little bit difficult for them to be taking that space. But on the other hand, there are so many avenues that you need to watch on Fracture, and it is one of the hardest maps, I would say, to defend because you can get so easily pinched by the attackers.
No, I couldn't agree more. Site still very much attacker-sided. Just because once you have those retakes down, like you said, very limited ways to get in, especially in time. Those T rotations never really seem to work out the way you think they will when you're in a lobby. And a lot of dissatisfied lack of connection there, at least for me. Complexity, like you said, it was imperative that BCR handicap Complexity rather than accelerate themselves, which makes that previous round quite important. As Keensi launches another lockdown in the same spot, this time it looks like BCR are a little more aware of the issue and also don't have as much presence on the site, so they're just gonna head back out. Rise tries to go the wrong way through the main door and will fall first. Gundiv's still not there, but could be if Complexity takes this round, and that could lead to a very accelerated rest of this attack half. So for BCR, this round is also insanely important. Bob heading over through drop, but the alarm bot's going to catch her. And so that intel is given away. The knife out to counter only will see Keensey. Juna on the other end from Canteen. Fluorescent and Bob actually going to find their kills. Keensey will fall. So drop is handed over to BCR now, as is the personnel advantage. And Raze is getting it fault lined away, so the rest of BCR can at least approach onto this site, but the slow orb helps stop that again, and so Raze can rotate back out. Misses that blast pack, instead tries to use it to swing. Won't work as well as they want it to, but Claudia is able to refrag as well, so still a 2v2 with Claudia about to proc this orbital strike as well. Fluorescent is watching the sightline the whole time. Doesn't matter when you have it. Fluorescent finds the 2 kills though! They waited out and let Bob take the credit, but once more, the spike was too stalled out, and Complexity will still take the round.
Complexity now 2 rounds ahead, guaranteeing the tie. And now BCR, they are looking at a lockdown and a few guns on the table, but it doesn't look like they're all going to be able to buy full, since there will be some half shields. This is the last full buy that they have, and it is the second last round, so it's one that they really want to win if they want to be able to throw everything at the last round in the half, where they will have more ultimates up, more utility, while Complexity GX3, they are looking at a Resurrection available, as well as Rolling Thunder. That's 2 8-point ultimates and raised 1 away from the Showstopper. So it's going to definitely look like an expensive round if they're able to force their hand into using these ultimates.
Very volatile around here, I should say. Oh, I'll wait on that though, as Raze is going to enter really quickly. Beautiful fault line that connects onto Juna. Fluorescent is going to be able to refrag, but there's still a shot of damage done, and Lace has the res for specifically this, but the barrier gets shut down way too quickly, and so the res cannot be proc just yet. But instead, Complexity, they can at least take the site comfortably enough that No Swarm Grenade is not in the right spot, and that lets BCR know that, hey, the spike is planted in this corner. The lockdown will come out to specifically cover that one, but the fault line will get Fluorescent, and so no coverage on this lockdown, so the rest of Complexity able to move towards A main, but that's what Power Pixel is there for. The spy cam first to make sure that nobody's directly in the way, but that sound cue may have given, Pixel away. Keensey's not watching though, neither is anybody else, and Pixel's just gonna opt to try and go for the wall bangs. Won't work out nearly as well as they intended, but now they have to get the headshots because everyone else is dead, and unfortunately Pixel's only able to get 1. So Complexity, they shut down yet another attempt at a full buy. And now I think I'll bring up what I was going to, Epitomes, which is the fact that Fluorescent's really popping off. Currently, I think 18 and 8, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. But they're playing KJ on defense right now. What happens when we swap sides? Because as someone in chat mentioned that I was able to see, BCR doesn't have any duelists.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. What? I mean,
You did?
when they start attacking, I'm terrified for how they're going to do.
Yeah, because they don't really have that ability to create space. Raze did it last round with the double satchels into ropes, but you don't have anyone who can do that on BCR. Not even like an Omen, which is probably the only non-duelist movement agent if you don't count Chamber, which I don't. So now it's like, it's going to be a struggle for BCR switching on to the attack, even though it is an attack side map. I feel like it's going to be a very lurk-heavy play style that we're going to see from these teams, because they're really only one up on the attack is the fact that they have info. And without that, it's going to really be an uphill battle once they switch over the sides. The best I can hope for, 7-5. And there's a resurrection on board for Complexity.
True. They may not need it though, as the Cyber Cage and the Trap Wire will give away Kara's location, but not Claudia's or Lace's. The Spy Cam will catch Keensey though. But that Swarm Grenade will prevent an early hold. Pixel attempting to hold the other side and does get 1, but it doesn't matter. Kara can find the shot. That fault line matters not once again. And yeah, 7-5, the best result, but 8-4, now the most likely one is... This one, Fracture just tends to share that same sentiment with Haven, is that the tough part is getting on site, but once you're there, that's why it's an attacker-sided map, and Fracture, Complexity resting so easy once they get onto the site. They've always been able to finish it out, save for maybe 1 or 2 rounds. Once they get that spike down, once they have control of that site, it is basically a done deal. But now they can do that no longer. As the tables turn, the sides swap, and BCR have a different perspective to maybe still make this a 2-0. But Complexity, they are on the verge of taking us to 3.
Yeah, and this duelist difference, this is very, very scary for BCR since they don't have the forward power. They have two initiators, and I think that they're trying to substitute Juna and Bob for that type of fragging power that a duelist might have, but even then, still not the space-making capability, and I think that's what duelists are really undervalued for, and why duelists like Neon and Jet and Raze are played so often over anyone else, since they have that capability.
As BCR attempts to make sure that the chain is unbroken, because handing over this pistol round would mean so many miles for Complexity and do basically the bare minimum for BCR to get back on the board, get back in contention for this map. So much work has to be done from this other side now. And BCR, they still have to play this so unbearably slowly because with that KJ util on one side and the immense presence on the other, there really, again, is no right answer to specifically get onto site. But once you're there, you should be able to rest a lot easier. Fluorescent heading over via zipline to drop, it looks like, to maybe stake out a potential flank once BCR sets their sights fully on this B site. And the reason that Complexity can't rotate just yet is because, well, they don't know what's happening yet. They don't have that spy cam that BCR was able to utilize a little more often to get those slightly earlier rotations, but now that everything's getting shut down, now that the stim beacon is being placed, now that the util is coming in, Complexity, they try and make a quick rotation, and they will have absolutely the time to after a 3K from Keency and Lace respectively. But Fluorescent and Bob have come into clutch and make this a 2v2. Fluorescent, in particular, behind Claudia and Raze, and finds both of them!
I don't know why they didn't turn around when that turret went down, but now they have also the extra spike plant money as well as the ultimate pip for Bob. And as well as that, Fluorescent is 22-9 on a Killjoy. And I just cannot comprehend how well she is fragging, especially now that she's turned over to the offense already 3 kills into that first half and picking up the Vandal as well. There is so much confidence going over on BCR's side, but now even if they win this buy-up, which they need to be careful because Keency has been really cheeky with this shorty in the past, and surrendering over any gun to Keency can be a little bit of a death sentence. But even if they do win this next one, it's 6-8. And 6-8 is still a little bit of a gap, especially then you need to worry about the bonus so they don't bring themselves up to 9.
Yeah, it's never a good position to be in when you're BCR, but they're going to try and break out of this. They want to get this done. They want to finish this out. Complexity has a lot of members strung up on B site, and BCR may have to reconsider if they know what they're walking into, but despite the lack of duelists, the ability to grab intel on specifically attack is still kind of waning, because that alarm bot doesn't have the kind of range that you need in order to catch up on the front line. The spy cam only gets so much wear and tear before somebody finds it immediately. Those trap wires have to be set once the site has been claimed, and well, the KO only has one knife. Oh, Claudia inside the sky smoke with the classic gets it done, but the rest of Complexity are able to find a lot more connection, in fact, after those rifles are picked up. And it is a quick silencing of the follow-up. Complexity taking away the second round of a half for, I think, the first time so far that you and I have been casting tonight, Epitomes.
Yeah, I mean, Complexity, that was a really good thrifty round from them. And it's down to that Vandal, right? You go for the confidence play, you go for a confidence weapon. But as soon as that's dropped, if you get killed by pot shots through a smoke by Claudia, like, I don't know whose smoke it was that was sitting right at the front of stairs on B site, right? But that really messed up BCR's entire squad because it's Fluorescent who is being the tip of the spear, which is already unusual for a Killjoy, but not being able to see inside the sky smokes means that it's just an extra level of uncertainty that was added into that site take. And now they are relegated to the pistols while Complexity are sitting really pretty on those rifles.
Yeah, this is not a great spot for BCR to finish this on. Complexity have basically reared themselves to finish this map already. Even though it's just a 4-round gap, it is a powerful one. And quintessential 9 is something that a lot of teams have not hit against either of these teams. And so for now, both ends to meet this way, despite the fact that we are on the island that is fractured, means a lot. Raze One concuss, one kill, Power Pixel falls. Juna ready with this fall line the second that Complexity approaches. It's the spike has been planted, but now BCR have to hold it down with such inferior guns, and Complexity, they know that. They can just waltz on for free. Aftershock, Boombot, everything but the kitchen sink, and Raze is standing in the middle of it all. The Vandal able to find 2, Keenseal and the Spectre able to find 2, and Complexity keep 4 up to take their 10th round of Fracture.
Yeah, this is just so strong from Complexity, especially for the defense side. Since BCR, they had a defense-sided comp and still weren't able to make things work. And even though Fracture is difficult to defend, if you have the double Sentinel, you should be able to get something more done than only 4 rounds. And now Complexity up to double digits. They don't have any ultimates available just yet. Fluorescent, on the other hand, looking at a lockdown. And maybe that can help them a little bit more in taking one of these sites.
Both of these are so, like, treacherous. These are very, very unstable picks for very different reasons. Complexity doesn't want to give BCR a chance and wants to keep that full buy run alive after such great reversal of momentum. Meanwhile, BCR, I mean, this is all they can manage this round. But it could be enough, as Complexity was drawn away from B site, and BCR is able to at least enter for free. But now can they hold down the site they so easily got onto? Power Pixel thinks they can with a 2K. And Bob finding 1 on the other end means that it's just that canteen push left. And Complexity, how does it feel to be in the same shoes? Just feeling like an impossible breakthrough here despite the solid guns. Juna might have to be the sacrificial body here, but instead the rest of the team swings, and Juna doesn't have to sacrifice even a lick more of health. BCR, a flawless round 16, and this gap looks more manageable with the context of that round.
Yeah, BCR, that was a really dominant round coming out of them, and it came down to Power Pixel at the end of the day being able to get such a good lurk in. They were just hiding behind ropes and used the spy cam to dissuade Raze from pushing any further and just sniffing out where that cipher was. So they had to back up into arcade, didn't expect anyone to be sitting on the north side of the map. As soon as Bob goes into I honestly forgot what it's called, tower, and looks towards arcade side.
We don't go to Fracture.
Then you also have, then you also have Power Pixel peeking out for the double kill, and that was just a really good shutdown of the retake.
Oh, what a fun lockdown this is. Fluorescent just saying, yeah, canteen? No one's anywhere, but that's why you got
Open up the sky.
The orbital strike out there instead, and so Fluorescent just goes ult for ult and trying to waste time, but Complexity are able to kind of head back to this other site. BCR was unaware of the fact that A site was completely open, and so they had to wait on drop at the flank on main for this fight to actually start. But now that the knife has come through, BCR, they get that memo and they head onto site for free. But now you gotta kill. Now you gotta commit here. And Bob is stuck. Raze, though, doesn't check! With the showstopper out, the rest of BCR can waltz on, and Bob gets a 4K from below, one of the biggest drops in this map, even. The angle management, the transfers, the util, it all comes together in one fell swoop, and Bob, she, as always, makes it look beyond easy.
Yeah, that was just honestly perfect mechanical gameplay out of Bob, and Raze doesn't check the right corner, just doesn't expect someone to be sitting in sands and everyone else to be stacked up site. And now this 3-round buffer is looking scary for Complexity, last full buy in the bank as well. And other than that, they're going to have to save 3 ultimates for BCR to get this done, close that gap a little more and make it 8-10. And even though there is double digits on Complexity's side, it is going to still look a little bit scary since you're an attacking team and you're building up probably the most deadly thing in Valorant, momentum.
It's true, momentum is the most deadly thing in Valorant. Inertia, though, comes soon after. Now BCR has to commit on the upswing. When Complexity falls, will BCR rise to the occasion again? They have so far. Can they do it once more? With Pixels killed, the neural theft will come through as the plant comes in, and so no, Now BCR knows the entirety of the complexity presence is in that little canteen space, and naturally, that's gonna prompt the knife to come through as well. An interesting flank idea coming from BCR here, from Pixel specifically, coming from Drop. Gonna zip back over to help out Floor on the other end of the door, where the rest of Complexity is attempting to now push through. Kind of split their resources, and Pixel is still not there, so it's basically a 3v3, but Rise has this orbital strike on lock the entire time, and so Complexity knows they need to at least waste that now. They're gonna go for that Lace. The defusal bluff, they're out of there pretty quickly, and Complexity recognizing they can't do this again. They're gonna save 3 guns total, which is really solid actually, and just carry it into the next round. Complexity, they're gonna try and prevent this inertia.
Yeah, now they have this lockdown available, whilst we saw that BCR actually used all 3 of their ultimates in the last round in order to get themselves to 8. Now it's another timeout from Complexity, and the last time they did go for a timeout like this, they made really good work of it. It was when it was 4-4, and they were able to bring it to 4 rounds in a row to 8 rounds when the half turned over. So now we have to see if what they're doing in this timeout is going to be able to carry them the 3 rounds to the end of this map and into map 3.
I mean, if we ask for a good SakuraCup final and we get handed this, and I almost feel angry because I feel like I don't deserve a final this good. I mean, both these teams so evenly matched round to round, 10 absolutely incredible and pretty well established players just breaking through every single time. I'm seeing so many new ideas come through that I'm gonna want to try an Ascent, and I will maybe get around to trying on Fracture if I go there again. I don't know, we'll see. Regardless, both sides really giving it their all. You absolutely love to see it, and for it to continue to be this close after so many twists and turns, absolutely incredible. Complexity, they kept 3 guns, they can get 2 more, and the light shields to help buffer them, like you said. Let's see if they can continue to hold this down as BCR rares for yet another go. 4 stack going towards B side to start, while Pixel holds the other side at C. But all that KJ util is waiting. The problem is, only the KJ is waiting there as well. So if BCR are quick enough, and they could make this work, as long as they don't give themselves away, all this util is visible, but it's also proccable. And also Claudia's waiting in the wings right there. Bob seemingly knowing that. That's 2 pieces of util already gone. And the Nano Swarm is going to come in directly on top of that because BCR was thought to be approaching. But now they will once it's gone. Keency spraying and praying, finding Rise through the sky smoke. That's already more than Complexity could ask for. But BCR, they could clear out the space. They could get the site. Now Juna has this Rolling Thunder after planting. And so the remaining defenders, all 5 of them, are a bit stuck. But that's what the lockdown is for. And you don't have a Hunter's Fury this time. You don't have an Orbital Strike. You have nothing. Raze can just break on Juna after the attempted retreat into the cubby that was available. Now the Blast Pack's coming through as well. Bob detained from the lockdown. She didn't make it out in time. And while there's a lot of util to help stop this flow, Complexity has a lot of members. Fluorescent missing all the shots. Kara taking that down too. 5v2. Kara's gonna get this started. Lace dips early. Bob can't flash.
Wait.
Pixel now coming through. That's the diffuser down. That's a fuck.
No way.
And the spike is gonna go boom. BCR clutch up. Power Pixel gives us a 1-round game.
That is just insane from Power Pixel, spamming down through a smoke with a Vandal to be able to secure 4 kills in a row. Doesn't end up acing, but saves the round nonetheless. Doesn't even let it go to half. Just so much spam coming through, and it's just so nicely done from BCR. Even though it was such a mess, as soon as Complexity start that retake, it means they don't get the momentum. They don't get the momentum of the round right after their timeout, and it's gotta hurt. So now they have the Resurrection online, and they also do have this Rolling Thunder on the other side, but expending the lockdown to knock at the round is scary.
Oh, here we go.
No.
The barrier orb is broken. The floodgates have opened. Can BCR connect on top of it? Or will they restake their commitment? Blast Pack gonna do some chip to Fluorescent. Fluorescent taking very tiny amounts of chip that may not matter in the grand scheme of things just because the gun dip that's present, and Fluorescent continuing to just be an absolute deity. BCR 4v1 about to tie up this second map. A ridiculous 11th hour run from the team on match point for their first ever tournament as a 5-stack. Still so much work to do, but this round will go in the books as one that is BCR's, and it will be 10-10. Keensey will play the waiting game.
And it's so devastating for Keensey not being able to pick up a better gun either, because the only player that fell from BCR in a main, and you kind of don't want to walk there when all you got is a judge, but even then, do you have a lot to lose if the only weapon that you're going to be bringing into the next round from a save is going to be this judge? Seems like no. Keensey decides to take the peek, and Rise just falls them very, very easily, and it's going to be a tied round again, 10-10. BCR are not taking a single tack pause at all. I mean, what do you have to talk about when you're basically just like a ranked team running it down on Fracture together? But the benefits of it is that they are on the attack. They have 3 ultimates. They are on the side that Fracture prefers. They don't have a duelist, but it doesn't matter much with the way that they're playing and the way that Complexity seems to be responding. 5 rounds in a row and lots of economy built up.
Yeah, here we are, back again. Both teams at their best. We've seen this only a couple times so far. Both teams have just been able to restrict the other side so quickly, and that'll start again as Complexity will get a 2-for-1. And Rise attempting to retreat on the zipline is caught by Claudia as well. Complexity instantaneously get control over the spike in their first full buy back. Oh, what a wake-up call for BCR. Their job is not done yet. 4v2, and Fluorescent is gonna let this lockdown fly, but also thinks about somebody being right next to this barrier orb and being able to break through. A lot of potential collateral to work against. Bob trying to get him to drop. Will end up making it happen. 55 seconds to play with as well, though. You can do a lot here, but I don't think you can win the round. I think that's the problem.
Well, a little bit of info means... Oh, that alarm bot isn't going to work for them then.
That's going to go down.
Good start.
Definitely a good start. Bob has to deal with both Lace and Keens. That's 1 sightline down, and Bob will find Lace, 2, but the fragment doesn't fully get Keensey. Fluorescent finally breaking through the barrier orb! Car and Claudia fall! Keensey gets 1, but now comes the flash from Bob and BCR! With 2 members strong! They clutch it back up again! They're in the lead! They're 2 rounds away from the game, from the match, from the tournament!
Are you surprised, though, if there's anyone you want into clutch? Is it going to be anyone other than Fluorescent and Bob? Think about game changers. Think about the clutch potential of these 2 players. There is no one better that you want in that situation on this squad than probably Bob and Fluorescent. In this entire lobby, in this server, it's those 2 players. And especially with the utility that they have, both the info gathering as well as the area control and denial. And oh, Lacey gets caught, and it's just not going to be that barrier orb to come in today.
But now I think they will. Yes, okay. She's gonna let that fly. Fault line immediately after to make sure that Lace has a better idea of what's going on, but the Rolling Thunder immediately after. A great orbital strike to stave off that push, though, so this Showstopper's not gonna get any connection unless Raze finds it. Raze finds
Raze,
it!
what?
Complexity! Oh my god! Once again! We flip the script! It's Fluorescent and Pixel this time, versus 5 this time. The spike is not as guarded, but this push might as well be. 50 seconds to go. 2 ults on the board for BCR. Will they use them? I supremely doubt it. Pixel stuck in the middle of nowhere, raised up to a 4K. Do they get the ace? No, Fluorescent shuts it down. 30 health remaining, though. This is probably a wash for BCR. And both teams, epitomes, they'll be right back up to their best going into round number 23.
Got it. And now, oh, actually, Fluorescent looks like she's actually going to go for the plant. There's time. And if she does this, she can just play tower, and she's taking out the nano. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Wait, she just avoided it. Oh my god! Fluorescent!
Okay, alright. Everybody stop panicking.
The laughter, the insane mad scientist laughter almost got me there.
Sorry.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, they have that little bit of extra economy, you know, going into the next round, and you also put a little bit of a dent. You take down 2 players, and also at the same time, Complexity, they used 3 ultimates for that play, and man, was it worth it. The payoff was so good for Raze. But for the rest of the team, Claudia, can you buy into a rifle into this round? And that's going to be a huge damper, since now 4 ultimates, 2 Complexities, 1 BCR. They don't have the momentum that they had before. Finally, Complexity stopped that bleeding, and they tied up the score, but Fluorescent with 30, come on.
The slate has been wiped clean an innumerable amount of times at this point. One team needs 2 rounds in a row now. Will it happen? Or do we go to OT? Do we go to map 3, or does the SakuraCup end here? BCR, 4 ultimates, slightly better guns, slightly more money, and a lockdown that catches everybody save for 1. 2 members still stuck inside it, trying to find an early rusher. And they know exactly where the lockdown is as well, because it's below them, but that's why they can't do anything about it. And in fact, 2 members get detained, but it's in Canteen, so it's at least safe. But with that null command, it's still a question of whether or not you can actually go back in. And Pixel on this flank again is not going to work as well. Kinsey even farther back, makes it a 5v4 on site.
I guess that's what happens when your teammates, you know how they're gonna play, and Kinsey is just sitting there like, Pixel, I know you're coming. Come here. I'm waiting for you.
Now comes the lockdown from the other side. Round up by, I want to say, a kill. Yes, indeed. That last kill from Kinsey did let the lockdown come through, but now the Rolling Thunder to try and counter that immediate plant. It won't catch much, but it'll do enough. And now BCR have the potential to maybe timer stall this, but it's got to be without Bob. And now it's got to be without Floor. Now it's got to be without Rise. Kara's going to go for the defusal here. Juna, huge blind, but it doesn't matter. But Bob is able to clutch it out just long enough. Did it matter if Complexity could actually defuse in time? Could they? I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. Bob did enough work on screen. That's all I care about. If Bob just pops off. And Bob did pop off. She popped off enough. Again. And BCR's on match point.
This is such a nail-biter of a map. BCR on match point. Complexity, they know they have to do something, but they already used up their tac pause, and they have one of their players that's sitting on a Bulldog, and another one on half shields, and another one on Sheriff. It's a disadvantage textbook. They have a resurrection, so at least they can make it a 6v5 if it ever does come to that. But on the other hand, Neural Theft, lots of information that can be gathered from BCR, and they're on the attack side.
And Bob going in so confidently. 2 flashes used. Kinsey, no care in the world. The shorty's still free to find Juna as well. And Rise. No way. Epitomes. We're going to overtime on the back of Kinsey getting a 4K.
That was an excellent play from Kinsey, and the fact that they switched up the presence of the Sentinel over to that B side when they realized that BCR has been hitting it consistently is such a good move from Complexity's part. And now they also, Kinsey, I honestly don't know what that was, but Bob, just a little bit too much on the flashes, and I think that's exactly why they wanted to nerf initiators, right? To make them so you have to have someone who is capitalizing off of them. You can't just always be throwing flashes for yourself, and Kinsey knows that, takes advantages of it, and also in a close quarters place like Tower, you know Kinsey is proficient with the shorty, with the shotguns, just takes it out and gets completely blasted. And now we have Complexity sitting on no ultimates, BCR no ultimates either, and none of them are actually close at all. Wait, it's overtime. Of course not. I had to...
That'll get you.
Had to pause for a second.
Both teams 8 and 4 on specifically the attack, which Complexity is on first. Split push onto B side is the move. The Nanoswarm is going to give that away as Pixel will frag 1 for 1. Claudia will get that back. Rise invading really heavy and will end up getting 1 for it, but it doesn't really matter because the rest of Complexity is already on site and they already have the rest of the team locked down in Canteen. A fragment to attempt to catch somebody in cubby that isn't there as Kara try and wade off the spike, but has to hide behind this Radianite for the time being, and the knife is going to prove that. So, BCR have a lot to work with swinging in, but no util to do so. The alarm bot, the nanoswarms, they're already all gone. They're already expended. You just have to frag a little bit better here. But it's Floor and it's Bob. BCR. If there are two people who can do it, it is them. Kara falls, then Claudia. Lace gets one. Lace gets both!
Lace!
30 health between Complexity and Loss. But now, once again, they are one round out from winning and taking us to map 3.
Just an insane clutch by Lace there, and that was just, there was enough time. So Lace couldn't really just be weaving around the spike, especially in the 1v2 situation, has to take the fights and does so perfectly. And now we have BCR on the attack, seeing if they can win their attacking round. I mean, some of them have been really, really shaky. So this is such a scary, impossible situation for them to be in. But once again, leaning towards the B side, which is a little nerve-wracking once again, because that's where the killjoy is. Instead, actually, they're looking towards A now.
The problem is, though, that barrier orb is such a nuisance, even to shoot it down, which does take less time now, but the problem with that is you give away the fact that you are there. And the fault line is going to be able to catch Juna, but not Rise. Ooh. And Lace finds that out the hard way, but Raze swings out almost directly after and finds Bob back. So it's still a 1-for-1 with BCR yet to really make any headway in actually planting this spike. But that's why Pixel is making sure that everything on B side, at least from Arcade, is cleared away, because Claudia and the rest of BCR are all making their way towards it. As Pixel, a lot of space handed over to them, actually. This is wild. The KJ util was supposed to stop them, but Raptors are now unoccupied, so Pixel's going to be able to at least wade into here. See the nano swarm, but the information isn't given away, so they'll just go for Keensey and find them! And BCR have B site. But Claudia, attempting to grab another frag, will before Junit shuts that one down. But now we're in the same position, aren't we? A 3v2 with the 2 in Canteen and minimal utility to work with going into it. Complexity are in the exact same spot now, and Juna is actually just gonna go for this plant now. Who cares about the fire coming your way when you're returning fire a little bit better? Fluorescent, though, on kind of low health. The Aftershock is going to flush out to an extent, but not really enough. That's for Fluorescent and Juna to do. And they take the round back. We go to OT2.
Switching sides. Overtime.
And OT number 2. If they're going to do anything differently, we did have, I believe it was Fluorescent holding that B site with the KJ utility and Cypher over on A. And Complexity once again seemed to be favoring that B side. There was a little bit of an aggressive play from Rise and Bob in Tower as well as Arcade, hiding behind the Radiant boxes. But it didn't seem to work out in their favor because they got themselves isolated in 1v1 situations. And when the trades came out, when all was said and all was done, Lacey had a huge clutch right at the end. So now Complexity looking once again towards B, lots of presence, especially towards that Arcade side, and Juna is doing the same thing again, hiding behind the Radiant boxes, and this is a really scary situation.
This game is going to come down to what I expected. Who can win on defense first? BCR, team that needs to do it. As Keensey gives their position away, and an immediate blind does not matter to Keensey, who finds Juna. Fluorescent spots Raze, but the entrance onto B side is now undeterred, and Kara is gonna seal that away. Fluorescent falls next. And Power Pixel is needed now, more than ever, to make sure that Complexity doesn't get another game point here. But they might, if Pixel does not 1v3 here, which is enough to ask from anybody. Claudia's spotted, but not seen again yet. Alarm bot on top of the nano swarm. That's time wasted, and that's position given. Pixel not opting to destroy any more of that barrier orb, instead saving those bullets. But Keensey has the angle, and Power Pixel has to look too many directions. And so Complexity, once again,
switching sides,
up 1 point away from taking us, or 1 round, excuse me, away from taking us to map 3.
And I feel like this is why Sage is so powerful on the attack and why they really wanted to nerf the barrier orb, because it rewards being there and being present and punishes very hard on when you're going for the retakes, because you don't want to destroy the barrier orb once it's solidified. And now I feel like BCR, they are struggling to find something. Complexity opting to use the timeout since they have given away their last overtime, don't want it to happen again. BCR has been in overtime already during this tournament in the last matchup they were in up against Spaghetti. So they are very familiar with this type of situation.
Yeah, BCR's got to be a little bit tired at this point. the amount of Valorant that they've had to play today, the amount of delays that they've also had to deal with. Oh my goodness, they have been through the ringer for sure. But Complexity, I want to say had a really tough run through this tournament. Despite being the 1 seed, they were just handed powerhouse after powerhouse, and Complexity comfortably shut all of them down. And then BCR comes along and 13 5s on Haven, and is going blow for blow here on Complexity's choice of map that BCR as a team has never played on in an event yet, because this is their first, and surprise, surprise, no one else chose to go to Fracture. But we might just have one more round here, as BCR, once again, on the chopping block for Fracture at least. Complexity, 1 round away from taking us to our 3rd map. I don't even remember what it is at this point. It's been so long. But BCR have to take their time here. They have to play patiently. They have to respect everything that Complexity has to offer. But they only have 80 seconds to get that spike down.
BCR are so close. And so is Complexity. They were both so close to closing this map out, but for BCR, it just means that much more to be able to 2-0 a team like Complexity when you've never played a tournament together. And this is some really, really aggressive pushing coming from GX3. They are looking for the orbs. They're looking for those ultimates early. And now on the A site, the Sky Smoke's already gone down. They've shown presence, so it's a rotation quickly to come through.
Yeah, Complexity chomping at the bit here. The 2 slow orbs help a lot there as well. And Kara still has a fault line and an aftershock available to play for that flush out. And the flashpoint as well, actually. Excuse me, but Raze doesn't have anything. Juna takes that down quickly enough, and the aftershock is not going to get in time for the spike to not get planted. Rise actually will get out almost scot-free, too. So, impressive start for BCR. And this is what I'm talking about. This is now the easy part for BCR. As long as they complete here, then they should be solid. Keensey gonna be the first to peek out from on high, but Pixel maybe overwhelmed angle-wise. A lot of players coming on, but they're just gonna get on for free here and take 1. Nanostorm grenade on top of the spike, but it's not hitting Lace. Instead, Pixel has to go in and do the dirty work themselves, but it won't work. Keensey can get the kill from there, and is still trying to look for this. Keensey and Lace only have half the spike left to go, but no more sight line that they can work with, and so Bob is going to be able to get these last 2 kills. And we will go to OT number 3.
Oh, that barrier orb was pesky for a second for BCR. That was so scary for them. Finally, that map almost being closed out by Lace, but it wasn't the case. And now we are looking at another overtime where Bob is actually going to find an operator. And I think this is the first operator we have seen all map long.
It is.
And I feel like Fracture isn't really an operator favor map. If you're going to play it anywhere, then you should likely be playing it in B main or A main. And I think honestly A main is the stronger choice and option here. But you give away the operator early, they know that Bob is going to have that gun now.
And she whiffed that 0 point as well. She meant to make it go farther, I think. Unfortunately, won't get any intel, so the rotation has to be late. But the KJ on the Cypher, along with literally everything they have, are here. And with the help of the trap wire, they're gonna do some damage. But Karik and Aftershock can actually find Power Pixel. Fluorescent waiting for this Sky Smoke to dissipate. Or maybe not, just gonna swing out alone, and Lace is gonna punish her for it. BCR, several risks taken this round, and none of them might work. Juna has 1 kill here, and is gonna Aftershock this corner to force Kara out as well, and will get a kill because of it. Finds the headshot on a Raze as well, escapes the paint shells, and then launches a Rolling Thunder onto Claudia. Stuck in the Sky Smoke still though. Juna hunting, searching for this 4th kill. Can't find it. Claudia gets Rise. It's a 2v2 as the spike continues ticking down. Bob teases the defuse. Will get punished for it. Claudia holding a molly. Juna in a 1v1. The concuss is there. The aftershock there. But Keensey can swing. And the attackers still win it out. Complexity on game point for a 3rd time now.
So close to the ace for Juna. Juna did so much work and it just wasn't enough. And now we're looking at Complexity once again. Map point. This is really, really tough. It's it's just blow after blow, round after round. Nobody can win a defensive half, but honestly, if anyone should be able to do it, it should be BCR with their double sentinel setup, with the amount of utility that they have to stop and delay, but they just can't contend with Complexity's attacking side. And I think, honestly, some of it can be owed to Raze's Raze, because Raze has to play aggressive, has to go for the explosive entries, and everyone knows Cypher and Raze do not go together. They are not friendly, because Raze keeps blowing up all of Cypher's utility with just one single blast pack, and that is probably one of the toughest situations to be in.
A lot of solid trades here. BCR resting on their consistency. They got to do it again. And then they got to do it again. That's the painful thing about it, is that this is not over either way for BCR. But Complexity can search for some finality if they win the defense. Ooh. But with a fault line on Raze, it's not a good start. 5v4 on the entry, but only 45 seconds left to get onto this A site. They've got to break through, and they've got to break through quick. Pixel with this off angle from drop will certainly help out. Vakara trying to frag out will only find a 1-for-1. Claudia, now the next line of defense, waiting on high on site. A place that BCR has almost refused to check over and over again, but luckily, still just a 1-for-1. Still pretty even, all things considered, though. And now Lace, who is on a sniper herself, looking for the shot. The Cyber Cage protecting for now. And it's just pot shots being taken as BCR dancing between sightlines. The orbital strike to frag out one, but Kinsey has already swung through. Finds Pixel, looking for Fluorescent. The Sentry is dissipating things, though. Finding some extra damage, but Fluorescent's on 11 health right now, and now the Sentry's out from Kinsey as well. Looking for it, looking for the shot, ouch. Can't find it. A Shrivel, not enough for Fluorescent this time, and it's just down to Rise. They've got a good sight line, but two members to worry about, and Lace is the only one that's needed. Kinsey's got the defusal, Complexity's got the game, and we will go to map 3.
Oh, what a long game, and probably devastating for BCR after how much they came back from the 8-4 half, from the 10-4, and now at the very end to lose it all in overtime, 16-14. And now looking at that very last round as well, it's so unfortunate that Claudia, or I believe it wasn't Claudia, sorry, it was Rise who ended up missing the incendiary, so they weren't able to get the molly onto the spike. It allowed for the free defuse from Kinsey, and obviously holding with an operator is always going to be a lot harder to contend against when you only have a rifle in those situations. So now going to map 3, we are looking at, what is it? Bind. Yeah. I believe it's Bind, yeah. So, I mean, Bind, it's not really like Ascent. It's not really like Fracture either. It's a really close quarters map, so we definitely have seen Complexity on it. Complexity dominate on it. So I'm definitely worried for BCR at this point.
I'm worried for both teams at this point. Purely for everybody's sanity, because after an insane game like that, we just have to flow right into a decider map. Guys, one way or another, we're finding a winner to this. We're gonna do it in one more map. Bind comes after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This valley will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This valley will relieve us. Stay while we leave. Stay with me.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We're on map 3, and that was definitely one of the maps of Valorant of all time. And now it's BCR versus Complexity on map 3.
Yeah, here we are again, guys. If you're just joining us, it's been a pretty tumultuous final with BCR slamming Complexity in map number 1, that being Ascent, 13-5 victory. Complexity took the game to Fracture after it was not banned in favor of Haven by BCR. And so, you know, that was, like you said, definitely a map that ended in, I believe, a 16-14 win for Complexity, going the distance after both teams proved to be quite formidable on the attack specifically. But now we go to Bind, a map where attacks are never as prolific as they can be on Fracture, and the comps are also just a little bit different.
Yep. I mean, is it going to be a Viper, please?
Ooh, Pixel.
I mean, since like people don't like playing Viper on any map that isn't Breeze and sometimes Pearl, so I get excited when I see a Viper. Oh yeah, an Icebox. But honestly, I've been seeing a lot more like Omens on Icebox, which is kind of making
Instead
my
of
brain
Viper.
hurt.
Yeah, I've seen a couple more of those. I think Viper's still the overwhelming right choice when it comes to Icebox, but here on Bind, she's been in the conversation for Bind for a long time now, but yeah, she's always that pick that kind of rides, you know, over everyone's heads until somebody chooses it, and then you're like, oh yeah, you can do that here, can't you? Which you can. You could say the exact same thing about someone like Sage, who we rarely see on Bind, but she can work with that barrier orb. However, I think with the nerfs, they might be a little more blatant as opposed to the barrier orbs that you could get away with, that Lace especially could get away with back on Fracture. Pixel will settle on the Viper here. So so we got a double smoke actually, because Ryze is still on the brim.
No Sentinel.
And yeah, no Sentinel, no Fade or Sova going into this. That is very interesting. Or yeah, no Fade or Sova on Complexity side. I mean,
Complexity has gone full flashes, and BCR has gone full sight denial. So that's going to be interesting, because I don't think anybody on this map is going to be able to see a damn thing once you all have all of those smokes down and those flashes going through, and it's like blinding.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think I could count these on one hand, could I? Because you got what? You got the Prowler, you've got
2 Guiding Lights.
Yeah, you've got the Prowler, you've got the Nightfall if you want to count that, you've got the Guiding Light, you've got the Trailblazer for concussing, you have, and then you have the smokes you have Sky Smokes from Eyes, you have Toxic Orb from Pixel, and you have Toxic Screen from Pixel as well. So yeah, a lot of just, I don't even know a good word for it. Just, I can't even say like handicapping. Just overwhelming to block out that side. I guess crowd control. Yeah, crowd control is probably a good way to put it. Yeah, I'll settle on that. Crowd control. Good choice, Epitomes. This is why. This is why you're around.
Yeah, this is why, because I played too much League of
Yeah,
Legends.
because you're the smart. Exactly. Juno holding close, finds Raze on the approach, and that at least lets Complexity know, hey, someone's like close to showers here, as the rest of Complexity tries to break through. The short push first, followed directly up by the main push from showers. Both work to a T. A 4v2 for the post plan as Complexity wins every single one of those pistol duels, with only Keency on that comfort chamber, arguably, taking the only damage so far from Complexity, save for a little bit extra onto that Sky in Lace, who is now flanking and finds Pixel as well. A brutal first round in favor of Complexity here, unless Bob frags out, as she tends to do from time to time. But A side on Bind is a whole lot of space, and now with Keency getting healed back up thanks to that regrowth, going to be super tough to manage. It has to watch one corner, then another. Bob's going to find at least that. Even if you get all 4 of these kills, the spike is still going to detonate before it's over, and yeah, with that fault line, that may have just sealed it itself. That may be all the stalling that you need to do, with Lace now able to wiggle. Kara now just, okay, inting a little bit there, but okay. Bob is looking for 3. Lace shuts it down. Complexity end up with 2 alive outside of the first round that they take.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising there. I especially feel like Keency switching onto this chamber, it's not as strong as it once was, but from what we saw from Complexity playing on Bind last, they were just dominating all the way, even on the attacking side. And BCR, they are definitely a very formidable opponent, but now into the second round with nothing but 1 Sheriff and a half shields for Bob, who has a little bit of extra economy, it's going to look like like a sweep away round for Complexity to put in their pockets.
Rest of Complexity attempting to catch some breath for a second here after such a ridiculous set. After a ridiculous tournament. It ends here. One way or another. Ray's entrance with the blast packs to get through to short. And that boombot is going to give away Pixel's position, so they will back out. Instead, the rest of Complexity will saunter onto site. And with the help of a little bit of an aftershock, Kara's going to at least get this spike down. A full-blown rotation coming in from BCR will not include Pixel, as the U-Haul from the other end has fully been intertwined here. Is rest of BCR attempting to cut through. Juna going to be able to find Kara. As now the U-Haul presence is under debate as well. Raze, though, concussed, takes a good chunk of damage, but not fully finished. Same with Juna on the other end for BCR's favor. Raze will finally get finished, but it took another guiding light. It just takes Bob to get Keensey, though, and it's just down to Claudia. Claudia's the only one remaining, but the spike has to get defused. A tough choice has to be made, and the choice is made to go for the kill. Rise will not find it. A lot of work done by BCR, but Complexity still takes the round.
And now BCR looking at a bonus round going up against them, and we are going to see full rifles across the board already. Bob fragging out quite a bit, so you have those Seekers online, which is nice to see, especially really early when you want to be able to take back rounds and get that lead. And Fluorescent actually has to go for the Spectre instead of a rifle, and now that means that you have a little bit less of those long-range contentions, so we probably are going to be seeing them playing more towards that U-Haul side. And BCR does fight for these extremities, but it's not towards the ultimate orb side, it's towards hookah and short, which is interesting as well.
Those Seekers from Bob coming out very early, but also immediately shot down because of the raw presence in hookah that all those Seekers gravitated towards. Rise bombarded by blinds, but can still make it out for one kill along with some extra chip damage, and Fluorescent can pick up the pieces until Claudia shuts that one down. But BCR, they have enough collateral to work with. It is the bonus round after all, and so they should be able to swiftly take care of Lace here without any more deaths. And Bob with a guiding light. There's one, there's two from Juna, and BCR clean up.
Yep, nice and easy from the first 3 rounds. Basically what you expect. Pistol round, a little bit of a toss-up, but as soon as you get that first one down, it pretty much swings the way that you tell it to. And now with a full buy across the board, I say full buy with quotes because Kara does have a Guardian instead of a Vandal or a Phantom, and we also see a lot of half shields being bought. And this is actually a lot more Phantoms than we're used to seeing as well. Power Pixel and Rise have both picked up that gun instead, which is really good for maps like Bind, now fighting for the Showers side from Complexity.
And here's the rub. Here's the breaking point. The first of many that we have seen and will continue to see on this map and this match. Seekers now available for the other side. Complexity may not opt to use them as long as they find early ground here. But on Bind, that is difficult. Prowler doesn't see Raze, but Power Pixel does, and that's your first kill already done. Rest of Complexity gonna opt to bottlenose into short. Seekers out from that front line. And beyond the poison orb, they find a couple members. Juna flushed out of U-Haul for the moment, but Complexity has yet to find any decisive space. They hope to do so with one guiding light. Now maybe another as Lace finds the blocks. Juna avoids the blind somehow, but not the shots, and has to back out a little bit more. U-Haul now handed over, but Showers never once. And so Pixel is able to safely find another kill before ducking back into Showers, and the rest of BCR trying to make quick work. They will! They keep 4 alive and tie us up at 2.
Not even a spike plant for Complexity, and that means they're going to be pretty broke going into this next one. They couldn't even buy full shields in the last. So now maybe some rifles might make their appearance on this scoreboard, but it seems very unlikely. They're probably going to go for the upgraded pistols and the sheriffs instead. So now BCR, they are comfortably into a better economy, and if they win this one, then they'll have quite a bit built up. If they lose, however, still one more full buy is going to be left in their bank before they have to go onto the save. Now, switching things up a little bit, they have once again very strong presence towards that A side Showers, but now they're going to be looking towards be long a little bit more.
They gotta figure out something. Oh, Pixel is once again just overwhelmed. Raze is able to find the sheriff shot, and that's how you win these eco rounds, is you find the right places where you don't have to 1v1, and instead you work with a couple extra advantages that you make for yourself.
Planted.
And unfortunately, all those are temporary, as the attack still makes its way on, but BCR has caught more bodies. Now they just need to complete. There's one as Lace attempts to break through U-Haul. Now 2 left, 1 in showers, and 1 all the way back with this orbital strike ready to go. Rise is actually just gonna sit on this, and yeah,
Wait, what?
Complexity doesn't think to let that orbital strike fly. Claudia's eventually found out as well, so nothing is saved here, except I guess technically the orbital strike.
Yeah, I mean, yes. So now they have this full buy going, and I guess it's better investment to be using an orbital strike in a round where you actually have a better chance of winning. But still, I feel like there was a chance of them being able to take down the time enough, get a bit of damage to even out the health. And then with lesser guns even, it still is possible to secure those frags, especially with the sheriff when 1 body shot is around 55 damage. So it's going to be a lot easier even if you can only get them to half health. But now fighting for the extremity that is B long Raze trying to get aggressive.
And you need to. Again, you need to come up with new ideas. We've been here a million times. Complexity and BCR, they've been here tenfold that. And they have to come up with something new every single time. They have to always bring new ideas, because otherwise you're going to get found out. You're going to get punished. You are going to lose. Complexity standing atop BTP, debating over whether or not to commit to this site or the latter one, and it looks like they will go for the former. B site's the move. The orbital strike is ready now on the other side, and there it goes. It won't catch anybody, but it will stave off the push. Raze instead opting to go to shoulder with the showstopper, and Rise is far too close for comfort. There's the fuse, and Raze catches 2 for their troubles. Fluorescent in a one-way-ish spot and overwhelmed by competition as well. 2 members of BCR left on the plant. 1 coming from long. It's Pixel. Claudia shuts that down. It's just Juna left, and the Boombot knows exactly where Juna is, so now the rest of the team does too. Raze well protected by natural cover. Lace just better at shooting. 3-3. We're tied back up again.
Raze is just so good at Raze, and I feel like that should have been a given their name, but it's not always a given. So now Raze, always with the showstopper, I feel finds insane value, even if you aren't going to see that showstopper get the frags like it did in the previous round. It still forces the team to make a lot of space and respect it. And now Fluorescent, let's see if maybe she can do the same, but now even Showstopper has been expended, so it's just not possible. At least they do have the full buy going into this round, but they used 4 ultimates to try and secure the last one and still ended up in a loss.
Oh, Juna getting a little risky with it on that Seize, and now gonna get thrown. A whole lot of other util as punishment for that Seize catching too. Luckily, everybody kind of takes a step back, cools off, maybe takes a swig from a water bottle if they got one close enough.
Prepare for hellfire.
Orbital strike on the entrance from showers, making sure that nobody's directly in front of them. May be wasteful, but as long as you find the round, I'm sure you're not super pressed about it. Rolling Thunder as well. Onto the back of A, Complexity fully committing to this, knowing that if BCR falters here, then Complexity could really start the momentum, really get this snowball going. But if they drop this round now, after Pixel's able to find 2 kills, then this game will once again flip completely on its head. Keensey holding in the U-Haul with this shorty is able to find Bob first and get a rifle thanks to it. Viper's pit on top of the spike, which once again, Power Pixel's just gonna go for the defusal, and with the shooting in, you get the intel of where exactly your opponents are to the point where 2 will fall. Claudia still trying to cause some trouble, and Pixel's kind of low. That's why Rise takes the reins, and Pixel instead extends out to find the 4th kill for themselves of round 7. BCR take the lead back.
Yeah, that felt like a horror scene with watching the double swing and Fluorescent to come through with the satchel as well. And now BCR, they take themselves up to 4. They have an advantage once again and keep a lot of rifles from the previous round. And Complexity, expensive round from them. They use both the Rolling Thunder as well as the Orbital Strike to connect with nothing. So it was definitely overkill on their part. I would have to agree. And now Keency has that Tour de Force ready. And that's going to be the Eco Ultimate to try and save a few credits so they can take them into the next round and possibly swing this one back in their direction, tying up the score.
I mean, as always, it is the right choice, regardless of the chamber nerfs, it is the right choice. And the thing that I kind of... Look, I like the chamber nerfs. I think they're great for establishing a new meta in Valorant, a one where chamber doesn't take over the entire thing. But also, like, I don't know, the new Rendezvous favors passivity to an extent, and so... Either Chambermains are going to get creative again and they'll figure out new ways to be good at the agent and he'll come back just as Astrid did, to a point where he's balanced but not stupid and people like seeing him in the meta again. Or he's just going to suck until Riot changes him again. I don't know what's going to happen yet, but what is going to happen is Keency's going to try and find some damage. Claudia and Kara are actually the first to break through here on the attack, and they will find 3 and clear out the site. Pixel attempted flank yet again. That's just what they do at this point. But unable to find the right angles as Kara is going to attempt this plant now. The Seekers searching for Juna will find them. First the C's out. Keency in the elbow, though, able to find Juna. Pixel dropping down. That's 2. That was 2? Doesn't matter. There's 4 people left for Complexity. We're tied back up at 4.
Yeah, they lined up for that pick out of Hookah. That was quite a drop shot from Power Pixel, but still wasn't enough. And there was just nobody watching the elbow push, making sure that nobody was aggressing. But those are some nice shots from Power Pixel. Now, it's going to look like a little bit of a fractured economy from BCR, since they do have that Bulldog on board. They have 4 light shields as well, and no ultimates for anybody. I feel like the ultimate economy this game has been really tumultuous. They've just not been able to really get any sort of cycle going. They just kind of use it when they want to.
And that again establishes a faulty rhythm in which these teams can kind of have their fun. I think Pixel may have fumbled that snake bite a little bit, but desperate times, desperate measures, as Complexity had a lot of presence on that beat long. Now with the snake bite gone, they're going to try a different way. And Fluorescent, a cheeky flank attempt is quickly silenced by an even longer attack by the other end. Juna, now on the runway from the short approach, will just barely avoid the onslaught coming her way. But in doing so, Complexity are tempted to chase Juna down instead, but by this point, she's made it way too far up to A side, and so now Complexity, in just a simple 4v3, make it a 3v3, make it a 3v2, make it a 2v2 as Claudia will finally shut the rampage from Power Pixel down, but it prompts an interesting premise. Hey, what if we go back to B site now that that's unoccupied? So that's the moves, is only Juna is now waiting over at B site, but the smokes are down, so Complexity has a lot of luxury here. That first plant bluff will alert, but the trademark from Keency, along with Keency themselves, is able to get rid of that first threat. It's down to Rise to maintain the potential that BCR has, at least in this half. When side swap, it could be an entirely different story, but we cross that bridge when we get to it. Complexity is looking to cross that bridge at a bit of a higher altitude as they will take the lead back, but once again, only by 1 round.
Yeah, back and forth once again, and looking at the 10th round, it's going to be a save for BCR. They are forced to allow Complexity to potentially pull further ahead, especially with their gun buy. They have Bob on the Seekers, and they have 1 ultimate in the form of the Orbital Strike from Complexity, but it's still looking like a really, really scary situation from the 2 of them, since it's rounds back and forth, and BCR are on the defense with no Sentinel. Okay.
Oh, okay, Race. I mean, look, it's an eco, but that doesn't matter at this point. Like, both these teams have done really stupid stuff on ecos, but just getting away with a kill like that, I give that a pass in an eco. Fluorescent holding B-side solo is 4 members of Complexity. Okay. Attempt to turn this lead from 1 to 2 for one of the only times so far this map. What? Okay, dude. Sure. She only finds 1 though. Claudia shuts that down pretty quickly. Rise, classic right clicks, good chunk of damage to Kara, but not enough. Complexity keep 3 members alive in the eco counter and have a guaranteed tie at least going into the swap.
She changes her crosshair based on occasion.
Yeah.
I know you saw that. That was just I don't even know. But Complexity, their coach hasn't had enough of this trolling from BCR, just had enough of BCR in general. So they're going to go ahead and use that timeout to try and secure these last 2 rounds into an 8-4. But even if it is an 8-4, Fracture was 8-4 as well. And that was with BCR once again starting on the defense and kind of struggling to find momentum. So Complexity, even if they do take this to 8-4, when it switches over the sides, they are looking at double controllers and a lot of mollies to go around, and I feel like the sheer amount of damage that can be outputted by both Brim and Viper, especially in post-plant situations, is really scary. So Complexity's first line of defense, don't let them get the spike down in the first place. But with Chamber as their main sentinel, can they really do that?
Yeah, BCR's attack is going to be really dangerous because you know they're going to play these agents properly. And they could use lineups, or they could just hold angles. And having that option available for 2 of your agents while the other 3 are able to enter so easily, with that Guiding Light, with that Trailblazer, with that Prowler, it's a great mix to both get on site and also hold down that site in very different ways. So Complexity, again, they don't have a lot of intel gathering outside of maybe a Trailblazer. But we're talking late into the round for the retake potential here. So a lot of forward thinking has to come through. But of course, BCR want to make at least a dent now before they theoretically pop off on the other side. But it all continues to be hearsay until it actually happens. Rolling Thunder from Complexity will catch, I want to say 2 there, including Raze with the showstopper, but Rise finds the shot actually. It's the only shot found by a member of BCR now though. The Seekers come through, but they're coming from a bit of a ways away here as the rest of BCR is a little bit out, and Carl will be able to get this plant. Pixel's flank won't matter all too much because no one is that early, but once they get to short, could matter a whole lot more. See Juna up on Heaven and Bob. Now Seekerless, now Cabbageless, attempting to make some headway over in you all. My cabbages, no. Claudia over in the cubby, and now here comes the Pixel flank. It doesn't matter how many times they do it. It just always works at least a little bit. It's crazy. Juna gets 1. Bob gets 1. Lace is alone now in a 1v3. What a 180 this is taken. Lace can swing and find Juna, but that's all they get, and there is more than enough time to finish that defusal. BCR is back up to 5.
And that was off the back of Complexity's tack pause. And I feel like these tack pauses might be biting them in the back a little bit because yes, they get time to talk about it, but then BCR also gets to take a break while also looking really cool because they never ever take a tack pause and they're like, oh, we don't need tack pauses. But in reality, Complexity is giving them time to reset and allow them to figure out what's been going wrong. And with that retake, I think it was really good that they waited so long for Power Pixel's flank to come through and activate because they couldn't be 1 player down always because Power Pixel always flanking, so they're always 1 player down in the retake.
A lot of ults free for BCR this time around, including that Viper's Pit, which I'm surprised Pixel hasn't already used on this frontline. But then again, Pixel isn't really a frontline person, I've found. So we'll see how they use that in this final round of the half. Orbital Strike also available to kind of stave off the threat. Pixel finds the shot through the toxic screen, and the B presence just like that, completely gone. Now it's just the A push from Complexity. They have to make it work. Only 3 on short. Nobody holding down that immediate sightline, though, so Complexity can at least open the board back up. And they still have that TP free as well if they really want to, but that's why BCR has yet to rotate. Here we go. Raze dips in, gets floor, gets a rifle for it. Juna, ready with the Nightfall, and will get all 4 members. That's the clump you're looking for, and it will indeed prompt the TP.
Oh, Bob.
Bob has a weird angle, but how much can you find on it? Trailblazer looks for Bob! A big shutdown, but just in time. Pixel and Rise, they break through. Juna rounds out the pack, and BCR still save face. We are tied going into the swap.
Switching sides.
Yeah, Bob, that was such a good angle, but they had the good sense to put up the Trailblazer first. Didn't see any of those guiding lights over on the A, so there has to be Bob still sitting around somewhere, and they're able to find it pretty easily. But Juna, so good with the utility in that round. The Nightfall, the Seas, all of this to stop that jump out of Hookah, as well as a little bit of help from the Sky Smokes to make sure they don't know what they're getting into. And just the quick rotations were so well done from BCR in that last round. Switching over to the sides, they are on the attack now, and I think Power Pixel's lurks are only going to get that much more powerful once they switch over, because with the Viper, it makes it so you're allowed to get free passage into U-Haul almost every single round as long as there's not someone directly contesting, and that's really, really scary because it also allows so much conditioning from the A side with the Toxic Screen.
But you have to break through the pistol rounds first. Certainly tough. How did Pixel spot that trademark? What?
I didn't see.
I didn't even see it. I saw it on the map. That's why I knew it was there. But I was like, if I didn't see it, I was like, I would have been like, what is Pixel shooting?
Their eyes are zoomed.
Keency finds a cheeky headshot with the Headhunter before Pixel shuts that back down, but much more swift shutdown than I think Keency may have anticipated. And so now the rest of Complexity kind of left to wait and actually back up a little bit to the point where BCR is going to be able to plant this spike down pretty comfortably. Claudia still has these Sky Smokes, though, and is going to use them to freely get onto Heaven uncontested. But BCR isn't exactly worried about those angles yet. They're more worried about stuff like U-Haul, which still has yet to be fully controlled, especially after Aftershock gets them, and Raze's Pain Shells will find Juna. Raze still down here in showers, finds Bob too. Rise refrags, Pixel refrags, Pixel swings, finds another Raze. Finishes off Pixel with those Pain Shells, but Rise, the last remaining attacker, finishes the pack. BCR had enough in the tank this time around, and they will take the lead back after never having it so far this game. Actually, that's a lie. They had it once. Twice.
They had it once at the very
They had it 3-2 and then 4-3, but after that, they have not had the lead. Now they do.
And now BCR, Power Pixel has taken over the role of that top fragger, and our producer has been saying Pixel goes where Pixel wants, and I feel like that does tend to be true with what we've seen so far, because they've just been able to wander around, and I think you need someone with lurker's eyes to be able to spot out a trademark like that. Now Keency going head-to-head with Floor, no Headhunter shot connected.
And that, I mean, if there's a moment for Keency to shine, it's there. You know, finding that shot is everything for that chamber on this follow-up. A 5-stack on B. Interesting, but it's a risk I think Complexity's fine with taking, because again, it's that follow-up run. What else are you going to do? Just like have a split hold and then have a 2v5 with worse guns? I like this. Because now Complexity can TP and take the back end. Looks like they'll just do the latter as a 5-stack rotates from CT. Oh, this is going to be good. Here they come. Here they file. As the rest of BCR is ways away. 1 in U-Haul, 2 in showers, 2 in short. How do they handle it? 1 guiding light already procced. As they make their entrance. Pixel shuts one down on a Raze. And the Poison Orb bust Snake Bite is going to deter any further entry from there. Complexity have taken back the site, but they haven't taken the fight. Pixel ready to swing on U-Haul for 1. Keency can shut that one down. Enough presence in that regard. Defusal has to come soon, but Complexity, they don't have the free space to do it. They don't have enough knowledge. Kara can get 1, but this spike is on a time crunch, and Bob is going to find a 3K. BCR was stalled out, though, and so they don't keep many guns going into this bonus round. So Complexity, I would say that they're more than content with that round.
Yeah, but look at the buys. It seems like they just want to go for it immediately. The rifles, once again. Juna might be the only one who is looking to save here, but no, they're just throwing the Spectre to Juna. And now it is full Vandals for BCR. While Complexity, they do have one light shield, while BCR is mostly light shields. So this is definitely going to be an interesting quote-unquote bonus round, since only one player is technically bonusing.
Sure, this is a really wonky buy, but BCR is taking a big risk, aren't they? They lose this round after Complexity also has good guns, arguably a better kit, then BCR have basically handed over the lead. And this late into the game, that feels dangerous. I mean, we're talking the SakuraCup championship right here with this map. 5 rounds away is BCR. 7 rounds away is Complexity. With this bonus, it should be 8-7, but BCR were stunted, and so they choose to go on a growth spurt. Getting these really huge guns. And set to take over. Fault line doesn't hit anything. Guiding Light out as well. Juna and Bob playing for patience. A lot of time left to work with, but it can't be with Pixel on that off angle. Fluorescent, unfortunate pain shell throw will lead to no connection either. Not even any sort of territory claiming. So that has to happen with the blast packs, where Fluorescent is gonna fly in and take down Kara. But is the legwork done? Absolutely not. That's Bob's job. Gonna find one. Lace, though, taken down. Will get a 3K to come out that round. And Complexity do indeed complete the bonus.
BCR did a huge risk that round buying up, and now they're onto the econ where they normally would just have full rifles. And I think part of it is the fact that they did have a little bit of a health disadvantage with so many light shields on so many of their players, and Juna also didn't have the same buy as the rest of the squad with only a Spectre, and it came down to really messiness that kind of lost them the round at the end of the day. And Power Pixel also shut down on that lurk, which is really important, but I think Power Pixel also lurked up a little bit too far when her team hadn't even shown any presence or pressure on the other site, so they were unable to get anything out of the lurk since they were still anchoring it. There was no reason to rotate.
Yeah, that's the tough part of Pixel's plan, is that they're doing it so many times that there's a point where it gets dry. Fluorescent, great blast pack path, I will say, but unfortunately the shorty will not do all the work required. In fact, won't even really land that much of a shot. We'll get some damage done, but BCR, if nothing else, this is just around to find something, and Juna will find something. That's a kill onto Claudia, and with the help of the Sky Smokes, Juna's actually able to very easily invade this backline. Pixel finds 2 as well! Epitomes, what's happening? It's another
Wait, this
reversal
is a thrifty! This is a thrifty!
Lace is stuck in CT, and the Trailblazer will know it for BCR. No ults needed, no guns needed even. BCR have clutched it back, and will make this a 2-round game again. Lace, gonna let him have it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best option here. Just unless, wait, what? Hold on.
Oh boy, they're looking, they're hunting.
Not gonna let Lace have it.
Ooh, okay. They're just holding angles. Oh man. If
No, they were testing out their lineups.
Juna, he's playing a dangerous game, but yeah, Lace is gonna hibernate. Give Complexity at least 1 gun to come out of this. And since Complexity was able to win that bonus, they should still be pretty stable, but BCR, a massive recovery round for them.
Yeah, BCR are looking
Oh wait, never mind.
really,
Complexity
really
screwed. What? That was fast.
their economy.
Yeah, I thought they had way more creds.
Yeah, I did too, but I think it's maybe because those rounds were really down to the wire. You know, you only had the 1 player or 2 players left standing at the end of it, and it's really putting a damper into their money having to rebuy the rifles every round, and also a lot of utility that they expend. And now it's only the showstopper that might be able to get a few picks. Oh my gosh, just got domed. Claudia, 3rd person, like just a backseat to Claudia's brutal murder.
And it's gonna force Keency to bring out that tour de force, but before the rest of the team can even get there, Complexity hurriedly rushing over to B side saying, what we missed? What happened? The rest of BCR is like, okay, now we go to A, so the rest of Complexity rushing over like, oh, I can't believe we have to do this again already. And the Viper's pit on top of it all. Trailblazer breaks through. Will only catch 1 body, actually. I don't think Raze was seen there. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it all comes down to the same clump in the end, doesn't it? Keency raring to find a tour de force shot from heaven. After this Sky Smoke is gone, Complexity have a lot of time to play with, all things considered, but they gotta wade through a Viper's pit, and that is always quite difficult. Viper proven the potential on bind. Raze takes a high angle, and Pixel's gonna get forced into a corner here and take all the damage. The Viper's pit is fallen. A beautiful play coming from Raze. Keency finding 1 as well. Complexity may break through, and Fluorescent doesn't pop off. That's 3 for her. Lace needs 3 too. Won't even find a second. And BCR find their 10th round.
Fluorescent helped Tab and was like, "Oh no, I cannot be the bottom fragger of this lobby," and decided to just go insane. No, not me. Never heard of it. And now it's Complexity once again with the timeout while BCR hit their double digits. They have full economy for this round. They have the Seekers and they have the Showstopper. Once again, Raze, huge plays were made that round by Raze, getting able to take the Viper's Pit out of play by forcing Power Pixel back in the corner. Of course, it was a little bit of an unfortunate positioning for Power Pixel because as a Viper, you don't really want to be caught in those corners, but also sitting out in the open in the Viper's Pit is pretty much a death sentence in itself. So there was really no right play there. But with the Showstopper, we've been talking about how Raze has been so consistently fragging with the Showstopper and making space with the double blast packs. So hopefully that might be able to help Complexity turn the tides.
Yeah, there's a lot still in their favor, and that Showstopper is burning a hole in my eyes at this point, just because of how much Raze has gotten away. I mean, we've seen already a 3K and a 2K with the Showstopper so far. And that 2K was here on Bind when Complexity still had the lead. A lot of resources to still work with going into this.
Here.
But it's getting tougher and tougher to hold up, and BCR, their attacking rounds are proving to really work. Bob still has a Guardian, but also has those Seekers. Raze comes in with the early Showstopper and catches absolutely nothing but some space. The Power Pixel is perfectly fine with handing over. They want a much more intricate flank. Meanwhile, B-side has only one person on it right now, in Kinsey. But BCR doesn't know that. They don't have the intel, and so they play patiently again. There go the Seekers from Bob, indeed. The Cabbage is slowly swimming towards the captors. Oh, Complexity. What a rotation to actually avoid those. This is a very... What's up? Go ahead.
It was a huge bait.
That's true. It is a very big bait. Now Fluorescent can come in for free. Won't get anything with the Showstopper, but will get the back of that site, and BCR is going to be able to get that plant. Rest of Complexity now forced to rotate in from the backside. It all worked as well as it could have. Pixel gets the first frag from Showers as the rest of BCR ducks away to the two attacking entrances. Complexity is the one that has to utilize the resources. Pixel is low, and the Seekers are going to re-aggress, so way back up in the Showers. Juna had to hold on to the Seize, and so Kinsey, while seized, gets a kill. Lace also won onto Power Pixel after Power Pixel deniably gets one more. And Fluorescent, sure, why not, dude? She's just gonna find two more from Showers. Is it a 3K? Kinsey's just gonna hold this P. And, okay, Kinsey will get that one, but the spike is far too far gone, and so BCR is up to 11.
BCR now just teetering on the brink of match point, and Complexity, their economy is definitely not looking good, but honestly, Kinsey could definitely do worse for themselves, and they're putting a little bit of a dent in BCR's economy. Fluorescent is still going to be able to buy full, however, and they still have two ultimates ready. Bob used the Seekers to try and bait out the rotation towards that B site whilst they were still pushing over onto A, and that was just really smart to try and reveal the location of that sky whilst also getting the plant down on the opposite site. Now, Complexity, they need to win this round or else they're sitting on match point with no money in the pockets. And this is not even a good buy for them. They have Bulldogs, they have Guardians, they have Hash Shields, and I don't even know if they have full utility.
Yeah, this this is a fragmented buy. It's once again, the rhythm has not favored Complexity, but you can say the same thing you've kept saying when it comes to BCR. They have orchestrated it all. They are the puppeteers behind this masterclass. But Kinsey giving Power Pixel a quick clinic in how to flank properly. And we'll find two before Bob can refrag that. And that is so much of a gap after an easy TP. Will net a personnel diff in favor of Complexity in their 11th hour. BCR now having to reconsider the push. Looks like they may just take it to the other side of B over near Long. And that may be for the best. No one's holding in Tree, or Garden, excuse me. No one's even holding in the TP cubby. It's just three encroaching members of Complexity.
Though.
That's true. Claudia is nearby on the cubby right outside it. So
left.
Another angle that needs to be peeked. Lace also holding the cubby on the other end of this. A lot of presence. But Claudia's that first line of defense. Fluorescent clears that one quick. Raze has been found out. We'll find one, but no more. And Lace is also seen, but has 2 guiding lights to work with. Can't find any kills yet, though. And Fluorescent and Bob, they go for the frontal assault, trying to kill Lace. But Lace playing such a great game of tag until Kara can come in to immediately die to Bob, who's on the verge of getting a 4K if she can win the Sky Ditto. But there's not enough time in the round, and Bob is milliseconds off from giving BCR match point.
Well, this is just so scary. I mean, they were able to win the round, but even then, look at the guns, look at the buy. It's not good still. The only upside to this is BCR were unable to get match point, and on top of that, they don't have any ultimates left to expend. They're close to the Seekers on Bob's part, but other than that, it's the only one that's even going to be close and will possibly be available in this round. They have the Orbital Strike as well as the Rolling Thunder, and those are 2 huge area of effect ultimates, so they are going to definitely make a huge dent if BCR decide to commit into places just such as U-Haul onto that A site. But instead they're playing a default. They have that spike down in market and are just waiting to find a little bit of info before they start these pushes.
Yeah, there's got to be that crucial catalyst at this point for either side, really, but particularly for BCR, because it's an impossible question of, should I play safe? Should I play aggressive? Should I look for things? Should I counter things? Should I use my util now? Should I use my util later? None of these have right answers. But BCR, they want to make sure that they can play as safely as possible, because then you have the most potential to try out as many answers as you can. And Raze takes the bait. Pixel will get the first kill of that round. Now comes the Rolling Thunder and the paint shells. Pixel,
oh, no way!
He's just gonna brave it all! A 3K rounded out in U-Haul! And BCR have a site under their control.
Pixel goes where Pixel wants. Pixel does what Pixel wants. And now it's Complexity for a save.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna lurk here. They have to. I feel like there's no other option. Oh my gosh. What a statement made by Pixel, popping off this map, and will single-handedly give BCR 4 rounds of tournament point to work with.
This is just so disgusting from Pixels. I mean, that's one for the books, for sure. And now it is up to just Keency, Lace, maybe to keep their guns. Oh, okay. Fluorescent does go down, but Keency as well. It's not a worth, like, I don't think that is a worthy trade in that situation. At least Keency does have the tour de force though, because of that death. So that is not a really bad trade-off if you do think about it, but on the other hand, you could have handed off that Vandals to somebody else, and you could have had so much of a better buy. They're sitting on match point with Stingers, Shorties, and a tour de force, and now BCR, even though they have no ultimates, it's still going to be a really uphill battle for Complexity.
The most points, or the most rounds that Complexity ever let a team drop before going against BCR was 8. And BCR is on the verge of handing Complexity that very same benchmark, but the thrifty rounds have come in clutch before. Bob does not care about what has happened before. She cares about the now. Lace has been spotted, even short-sighted, by the 3rd cabbage after the 2K outside of showers. But instead, opts to play the waiting game again and let the BCR that is on A site do the talking for this, the first of potentially 4 more rounds in regulation, or maybe the last round of the entire tournament. Juna gets the spike down. Lace about to swing onto Bob. The game sense from her is just so astounding. Swings out on the guiding light.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
a 4K! And Keency walks into a weirdly not attempted fluorescent, but Juna will seal it away. No ace necessary for Bob. The rest of the team can do the legwork. And BCR are your December 2022 SakuraCup champions.
Yeah, this is just such an insane map. I mean, Fracture was a nail-biter, but at the end of the day, BCR, a team that has never played an eternity together before, and is just like a conglomerate of randomly experienced players, or maybe non-experienced players that has just been thrown together on a squad with just so much gusto